pregame crew. We are only 12 days, 293 hours, and 10 minutes exactly until toe meets leather in Atlanta between South Carolina and Virginia Tech. I'm Elijah Campbell. He's Preston Thorne. She's Jen Jensen. Somehow she is still in this studio after pulling double duty yesterday. She is alive.
I never left.
Pulse. She slept underneath
the soundboard. Under the console.
I'm sure it's more comfortable down there than it looks, and by that I mean not at all.
Oh, no. With the, what do we have? Like a chair, one of those chair mats that's kind of crackling at this point. You know, it's probably about time to get a new one. So that might be something to help. What are those things where you can lay on them and they have needles and it's supposed to stimulate blood flow? Have you heard of these?
It's like a bed of nails, and people lay on a bed of nails.
Yeah, something like that. So really, that's what this could be. So this actually is a spa-like environment.
If you make it that way, and if you just close that door, then it'll get really hot in there too. So then it's almost kind of like a sauna.
Yeah, see, it's perfect.
And the constant buzz of all the machines can be your grounding sounds.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
Ooh, yes.
There you go. We can get there.
See, I mean,
anything in your mind.
The mind is a powerful thing. You can make anything a spa if you want to.
You really could. Because we're positive people, and we're positive that there's a really fun season ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. We talk all the time. And I think it's just an inherent sports media thing where we talk about the questions that every team has. Like, oh, well, you know, what's going to happen with the offensive line? Well, they're replacing a lot on defense. I want to focus today on the guarantees, the things that you don't have to worry about. What do we feel so good about this team with that we don't have to worry about? And it feels like a guarantee that part's going to be really good. I know there are no real guarantees in life. There are no real guarantees in football, but the closest things that we have to it on this football team, I feel like there are a few things that exist where Carolina fans don't have to lose sleep at night before a game day because they know that those things are going to be taken care of. And I feel like we maybe have more going into this season than we have in the last few.
The whole premise of preseason polls, I was doing a little alliteration there.
I like that.
It.
Yeah.
The whole premise of these things is based on guarantees. What do we assume is going to be in place as the season rolls forward? Correct?
Correct.
That's the only way we can rank these teams. We say we based on what you had last year, based on maybe who you have at the helm, who's coaching. This is how we get to these preseason polls and where we get these teams where they are. So you look at the different things. I've said several times, what I look at as far as teams are concerned coming into the season, coach, quarterback. Those are my two guarantees that I want to look at. Do you have a head coach that I believe in? Do you have a quarterback that I believe in? From there, we can look at various other aspects of your game. So those are my two, which we qualify for, when I'm doing this idea of preseason polls. But I do like the idea of guarantees because we're always talking about questions as opposed to guarantees.
Yeah, we talk a lot about the questions. I figured we'd give a lot of the answers, right? Or the things that we think that are already going to be set in place that we can make the assumption about this football team going into next year to being as accurate as possible. To me, the ones that I put down, quarterback play. I think that we probably feel better about quarterback play here in this state, especially in this town specifically, than we have in a long, long time. I mean, Lenore Sellers, what he did in the last 6 weeks of last year, combined with how people that I trust to evaluate quarterbacks for the next level have talked about him being like some of them have talked about him being the best quarterback in college football or the best NFL draft prospect at that very important position.
Well, if you look at the history of the Shane Beamer era, because now we're starting to look at this.
We have sample size.
We're starting to have sample size. This is only the second year where we've actually had a guarantee at quarterback. Every other year has been a large question mark. Remember, we had to have a guy come out of the GA position to play quarterback, right? We had to do that. That happened
Was
one year.
9 players threw a pass on that team?
We had 9 players who were going to play the quarterback position that year. Then we got Spencer Rattler. That wasn't a guarantee the first year because nobody knew what Spencer Rattler was. We were kind of taking him from the used bin. We were kind of looking around. We saw this. We were shaking it, seeing if this thing actually worked. I would say the second year of Spencer Rattler, maybe we felt like that was a guarantee. We knew we had a quarterback that year. Last year,
big unknown. Big unknown.
It was a huge unknown last year. Who was this young kid with the goggles going to be at quarterback? We had no clue. We hoped, but we did not necessarily know. So I would say during the Shane Beamer era, out of the 5 years, we've only actually had the question of quarterback answered 2 times.
And it's amazing, how the conversation's changed from last year to this year, how we're talking about him.
I was just going to be smart and say we didn't even know what eyewear he was going to have. Was he going to have contacts? Was he going to have glasses? Was he going to have goggles? Like
that even changed.
That changed throughout the year.
We didn't even know.
That changed throughout the year. We thought he was going to be the goggles, then he became the contacts.
And we felt like that really made a difference in his play. I mean, that seriously was a talking point.
It was a huge thing. So, yeah, in 5 years, only 2 times have we had this question, a huge question, actually answered.
Yeah, and it's at a very important question, right? And if we want to look back how it happened in 2023, we learned Spencer Rattler as a quarterback, as good as he was, not offensive line proof, right? Whenever you had Case and Henry go down in the first game, then you had all the other injuries that you had, specifically the one with Nichols in the spring game. So you went into the fall with question marks in the offensive line because of one injury. Then you have an injury in the first game of the season, and then you don't have the same starting unit for the first 9 weeks of the season. It kind of derailed what you could have been as an offense.
Now, here's the thing about questions. You have questions, and unfortunately during that season, we got our answer the first game of that season about the offensive line.
It wasn't good.
But we tried to hold out. It was like, maybe.
Because you still saw the flashes, because Spencer still, whenever he was able to escape that pocket and make a throw, he made throws. You know, he still had a couple of games where he was able to look like the back end of 2022 version of Spencer Rattler. With Lenoris now, I don't know if there's really any quarterback in college football at the college level who is completely offensive line proof. But if there is one, if you were to make an offensive line proof quarterback in a lab, they would look a lot like what Lenoris Sellers looks like, right? It would be in that mold of like a Cam Newton, somebody who is so good that it elevates everybody else. I mean, even Cam Newton, when you look at that Auburn offensive line, don't know if any of those guys end up playing in the NFL.
By the way, Cam Newton, it was announced yesterday all through the interwebs that he's going to have his jersey retired at Auburn.
They should have done it the day he left.
And it is officially his jersey. It's not his number, but it is his jersey. Is that correct?
I believe
that's a good question.
We were discussing that yesterday, that it was which is it? Jay thought it was the jersey, but then he was a little confused.
Whether it was the number or the jersey. Somebody said instead of the number 2, he should have the number 1 because that's the number of NFL starts that anybody on that offense had. And I was like, yeah, that's very good internet.
That sounds right.
Very true.
Yeah, that is incredibly true. We could play the game all day of, is this a real player that played on that Auburn offense or a name I made up? And I don't know if anybody is going to, hit 50% of those questions being answered correctly. But Cam Newton was that guy that if you were to just make an offensive line proof quarterback, that's what he would look like. I'm not saying Lenoris Sellers is offensive line proof, but if you were to have a quarterback that's what they would look like. They would be in that mold of Lenoris Sellers, and then to a much larger extent, Cam Newton. Having that going into a year is an absolute luxury. And I feel like how he progressed throughout the season, especially as a passer, where you saw him in the Missouri game win a game because he was making throws down the field and he was able to do more than escape the pocket and make magic with his legs. He proved out the year, too, that he could beat you with his arm. I think that makes you feel like he is as close to a guarantee on this football team as it gets. So really, when we talk about guarantees on this team, the conversation kind of begins and ends with Lenoris Sellers, but that leaves a lot in between there, too. I think the secondary, in terms of the actual football stuff, I feel great about. I feel like that's going to be maybe like in terms of a unit on your team, the strength of your team. I mean, Jalen Kilgore and Dylan Stewart, not the secondary, but those are the two guys, AP All-Americans to start the year. Jalen Kilgore finally getting some love from somebody finally realizing, wait, this guy led the SEC in interceptions last year. Maybe he is All-American caliber. Yes, he is. He's also potentially first-round NFL draft type talent. You've got a lot of improvement on guys like Gerald Kilgore, another guy I think will be able to see some meaningful snaps this year, and that has developed a lot during camp. David Busey, who is starting to become the Charles Tillman peanut punch specialist on this team. I think he's going to give them a lot of really good snaps. Judge Collier is my ideal breakout player for this defense right now, given his build and his development over the last couple of years. And then you go into the portal and you add Brandon Cisse from NC State, who a lockdown corner at that position for that team last year. I think that's your strongest and deepest position group. And I think if there's a guarantee on that defense, which is the side of the ball with the most question marks, I don't think you have to worry about that secondary's ability to force some turnovers this year.
Yeah, and also, if you want to put that, you put the talent along with the coaching and the development, I think you can pretty much guarantee that the secondary will be competitive and there will be playmakers back there as far as all of that is concerned. And so while the defense does have question marks mainly up in the box, the secondary is solidified.
And then the last thing I had, too, a motivated group. Now, everybody's motivated to get into the season, but that's motivation combined with experience, especially on that offensive line. And here's kind of the point. A lot of those guys on that offensive line that have been in the program for 3 years were there for 2023. They had the expectations of being picked third in the SEC East and being a team that people looked at as, oh, you can play a real spoiler in this league. They had high expectations going into 2023. The offensive line and a couple of those players, guys like Tree and Tro, had to play earlier than expected. So they got that experience. They know exactly what underperforming in a season looked like. Bound to not do it again, made that jump. Some people will make that jump and they haven't experienced the low of a 5-7 season. I think the fact that they have experienced that, they got to learn from that, gives the offensive line at least a higher floor comparatively than what we've had in the last 3 years. And it's a group that is going to be able to use a lot of that experience that a lot of college football players don't get. Sometimes they don't play until they are deemed ready, but they had to play early. And then they get to experience what happened last year. They're now third year in this program, some more, like Case and Henry, playing more in this program. I think that helps immensely in terms of at least where the floor for what your biggest question mark on offense is. So while it's not a guarantee they'll be good, I think it's a guarantee that the floor is going to be a little higher than it's been in previous years.
Our biggest hope is that the floor for this offensive line is where they left off at the end of the season last year.
And it's a reasonable expectation.
That's a reasonable.
I think that is a reasonable expectation. With your tackles too, meaning at least pass protection should be better, at least on the ends, than it has been in a while.
Because we know that the offensive line struggled mightily at times last year.
Yes.
They struggled in both the run game, they struggled in pass protection, they struggled all around last year. However, within that struggle, they did improve towards the end of the year. And what we're assuming, and I love that phrase, a reasonable expectation, is that based on where they got to last year, which I would argue still was not good.
Still not good. Nope.
But if they start from there and they make the same type of improvement, they could get to good, maybe even a little bit better than good.
Or to what I would even would take is good enough. Can you be good enough with number 16?
Serviceable?
In the back. Oh, serviceable would be. Woo, buddy. Don't get me started where this team can go if your offensive line is serviceable.
Ooh, could they get to mid?
See, and that, given how it's been the last few years, if you get to mid, that's when mid is a good thing, right? And we're going to get to mid later in the show when we kind of expand upon our newer age vocabulary. Mid has a negative connotation, but if you use context of where you've been in the past, mid can be good. And for this team offensive line, mid can be good. We want you to be average. Mid isn't bad. It is what it is. Mid is Jeff Fisher, right? You are 8-8 or 7-9. And if you can just be better than replacement level with that guy at quarterback, it can change a whole lot with what you have. And then heaven forbid we find out anything about Rasul Faison, a guy who played behind worse offensive lines at Utah State and then in other places in his career and still was a very productive running back. There's no telling where you could be as an offense. But when do guarantees go wrong? That's part of one of the essential questions today. What do you feel like are the guarantees with this Gamecock football team? And when have things that you thought were guarantees turn out to be liabilities? We're going to tackle that next here on the Early Game.
Hey, it's Jen for CHW Cabinetry in Lexington. So many things they can do in your home to make it a little more functional, to make it a little more updated. In our kitchen, of course, we had to gut that out due to a flood, and they were so incredibly helpful. They helped us figure out what it was that maybe we were wanting to do, how to kind of arrange the space, and then got that photorealistic rendering of the kitchen before it was done, which is kind of cool. It's like, okay, eventually this isn't going to look like such a mess, but then we could take that and pick out other things as far as backsplash and flooring and all of the things to wrap up our kitchen. But I'm telling you, they can do more in your house. We just replaced some cabinetry and a couple of bathrooms. Very just the same service that we expected at that point. And also you can update things in your pantry and a closet. You name it. CHWCabinetry.com. That's the place to visit. Call them at 803-520-6837. Tell them Jen Jensen sent you. CHW Cabinetry. Passion from inspiration to installation. Well, Tuesday morning is looking pretty good. Taking good care of you this morning. No accidents to report. And maybe a couple of showers or storms today just could pop up in the middle part of the day, maybe in the afternoon. But a little bit cooler than yesterday. 88 for our high. 90 tomorrow with some clouds and sun. And Thursday should be mostly sunny and a high of 91. And then we'll dip back into the 80s starting on Friday. But right now, a nice start to your morning. 75 on 107.5 The Game.
Talking about guarantees this morning on the early game. What are the guarantees for this South Carolina football team? Whatever we think the guarantees are, still isn't, by definition, a guarantee. It could still go wrong, but that's the best part of it, is that the likelihood of it going wrong is maybe a little slimmer. It's almost kind of like making a reservation for a rental car. You can have a reservation placed, but as Jerry Seinfeld learned here, it doesn't necessarily mean you still get the vehicle.
Oh, I'm sorry, we have no midsize available at the moment.
I don't understand. I made a reservation. Do you have my reservation?
Yes, we do. Unfortunately, we ran out of cars.
But the reservation keeps the car here. That's why you have the reservations.
I know why we have reservations.
I don't think you do. If you did, I'd have a car. See, you know how to take the reservation, you just don't know how to hold the reservation. And that's really the most important part of the reservation, the holding. Anybody can just take them.
Let me speak with my supervisor.
See, I don't think she knows how the reservation works. She knows how to take it, doesn't know how to hold it. The reservation should have been a guarantee.
I'm here to clearly report that that's why that is a great piece of art, because they say art is timeless. And I had a very similar situation happen to me about 2 weeks ago at a rental car reservation place where apparently the reservation does not mean what I thought it means. So, Seinfeld, thank you for making that timeless piece of art, because that is absolutely true.
And I think we've all experienced that at some point. I had a very similar experience with a moving truck once where I reserved a small one. They said, oh, we only have a big one. I was like, well, I put in 2 weeks ago for this to be available when I got here. I don't want to drive that big thing. Mm-hmm. I don't have enough stuff in there to make that work. And guess what I had to do anyway? Drive cross
They didn't
country.
charge you more, did they?
They did not.
Okay.
I got the same price as...
Because I'd have been like, yeah, well, I only have this many monies for this.
Yes, for this.
So.
And that's why I got this, because it is this many monies. I don't got that many monies to pay you. Please just help me out here, because you didn't do your job to begin with.
Or overselling airplane seats. Okay, we could go down a rabbit hole.
That one too, yeah. Things that are supposed to be guarantees, right?
Yes.
You put in for that reservation or you buy that plane ticket. Mm-hmm. It's supposed to be a guarantee that you are on whatever it is that you paid for, right? Mm-hmm. And that you reserved for. But sometimes it doesn't work that way.
This is just suggestion.
It's a suggestion, apparently. Football can be the same way. I think maybe one of the classic examples, and I love using this, is Mario Cristobal at Miami. It's a guarantee that you win against Georgia Tech if you take the knee. Mm-hmm. It is guaranteed. You milk the clock. Georgia Tech cannot stop the clock. The game is over. Signed, sealed, delivered. He said, you know what? We're going to run the football. And guess what? Bad luck happened. You fumbled the ball. The guy's knee was probably down. But you know what? You opened the door for that to happen. Fumbles the ball. Georgia Tech scores a touchdown. They lose at the buzzer, basically. And then the game that should have been over, mathematically had Georgia Tech beat. Should have been a guarantee. Wasn't. That can definitely happen throughout the course of a season for certain teams, too.
Yeah, if I was, I don't know if our resident Miami fan is listening, but they had another essential win taken from them with that Hail Mary attempt that was a catch? Was it not a catch?
They were the beneficiaries.
They were the beneficiary of that one.
Yeah,
so,
Virginia Tech.
I guess I say all that to say that a lot of this is a toss-up, but the idea of guaranteeing things is that we are moving into this season with these things in our back pocket. We know, we feel compelled to count these things when you're talking about, do we have them? Yes, things could go wrong. Yes, they could change, but we have these ideas. Sort of like the idea if you're playing spades, you're playing cards. Like, I feel like I got these books. I have this amount. I'm pretty sure that this is going to happen. Now, something could happen with my partner. They could play wrong. We could not do things the correct way. But I feel like I have this amount amounts of books. I'm going into this hand with this amount. Things could change, but this is what I feel like I have.
And when it comes to the South Carolina team, what are the things that we think that can make our guarantees not come to fruition? I think the obvious one is injury.
Yeah, it's clear. I mean, we're having all this conversation. We're getting on the hype train. We're all just putting the blindfolds on, horse blinders, acting like this will not, hopefully does not happen. We're just assuming that it's not going to be a thing, but it can be. We have to acknowledge that. We have to acknowledge that it can be a thing. So obviously injuries starting at the top, but there's other ones that can happen also. Because you think about it last year, aside from the Norris at LSU, relatively injury-free all season last year.
In a much better position, especially compared to 2023. Bad officiating luck is another thing, too. I think we will all look back at that LSU game because a pick six in that, if that Nick Inventory touchdown stands, that game was over. There was a way LSU could have come back. It would have been really, really, really hard for them to do so. But that's going to happen throughout the course of the year. Right, I think it's one of the most inherent parts of the game is that officials are not very good at their jobs because it's a hard sport to officiate. They will mess up a lot. Can you keep yourself out of position to where one of those doesn't hurt you? And I think that's a big spot too, where if you underperform in a game, let's just say in September against Virginia Tech or Vanderbilt or Missouri on the road, where if the game's closer than you maybe have anticipated, something like that can alter the course of a game, and losing one of those games in September or the first one against Virginia Tech in late August can definitely change how you think about the season because of how the schedule lays out to where it's significantly harder on the back end.
Yeah, and listen, game week is approaching. I'm reserving my proclamations. Big game.
Huge.
Big game. Huge. As big as it's ever been. As big as they've been. I guess I'm referencing the Shane Beamer era because we are deep into it. I think after 4 and going into the 5th year, I think we can start calling it an era.
Oh, we absolutely can.
Right? So we're here.
It's a whole recruiting cycle.
We're here.
Yeah.
Big game, big times. And all of these guarantees are what we're taking into that big game. It's what we're starting with. And that's why the preseason is we'll leave the rest of the season for things that can happen. Injuries, the culture of the teams can change. That's why I don't really like to predict the end of the year. But going into the season, this is what we feel like we're walking in the door with. And we feel like we're walking in with a quarterback, feel like we're walking in with a secondary. We feel like there's some things that we can pretty much bank on that we're going into the first game with.
And that kind of adds to another thing that I had, teams being better than you expected. I think there's a good chance Virginia Tech is better than people expect. Now, they have a lot of transfer portal players, especially on the defensive side of the ball, which means there is a variety of outcomes that can be a result of that. Like, they can end up being really good on that side of the ball, or they could be really bad. Part of that the things that turn guarantees into unknowns is if one of those things ends up being better than people expect, like Virginia Tech's defense being ahead of schedule and being really good, or Kyron Drones being fully healthy and looking like the Kyron Drones of a couple of years ago where he was one of the best quarterbacks in the ACC. It's an unknown variable, but that can make something like what we think a lot of people around here probably feel like that win against Virginia Tech, maybe not guaranteed, but close to it, not so much.
One of the guarantees that I would like to have, and unfortunately I'm going to veer off in the question world here, is a guarantee for the first game. I would like to have our special teams guaranteed, and we do not. And then even whether as far as kicking, punting, but also long snapping, because you see in these first games, silly things happen like botch punt, errant long snap, not being able to hold a kick or something like that. So those are the things that I would like to have, but I know we're focusing on guarantees, so I'm not going to veer into question world here.
What statistical benchmarks can guarantee success for South Carolina this year? That's next here on the early game.
Hey guys, feeling like you lost your edge? Brain fog got you struggling to focus, and are you working out without seeing the results that you used to? There's a reason you're not feeling like yourself, and it might be low testosterone. Don't just live with it, though. Reclaim your drive, your energy, your focus at the Men's Clinic. Dr. Dan Boatnight, who you know will get to the bottom of it. This isn't just some online faceless representative. This is Dr. Dan Boatnight, who you personally know and will personally tailor your treatment program based on your labs and your symptoms. At the Men's Clinic, you'll find a non-threatening, comfortable environment that's open to hearing your concerns. And I think you'll find that the Men's Clinic is a little different than most clinics. The best part, your initial consultation with Dr. Dan Boatnight and your T-level check is absolutely free. So don't wait. Call them at 803-875-MENS. That's 803-875-MENS. Or you can find them online at mensclinicsc.com.
I-20 eastbound at Broad River Road. We have a report of an accident there, so be careful if you're approaching I-20 eastbound at Broad River Road. And your forecast, not too bad today. Maybe just a couple of pop-up storms this afternoon. A little bit of rain, 88 for the high. Some clouds tomorrow, 90, and mostly sunny on Thursday, 91. That'll be the warmest day this week, because then we'll get into the mid-80s for the rest of the weekend and into next week. Right now, though, starting off your morning at 75 on the early game.
So for old man versus analytics today, I figured on a day where we're talking about guarantees with Gamecock football, and I think we're all in agreement here that the goal for the season is to make the college football playoff. I went back to our entire history of a 12-team playoff, every single SEC team to have made the 12-team playoff just last year, and looked at a few statistical benchmarks of things I value, and I just wanted to ask Preston, could this guarantee South Carolina being in the college football playoff if this happens? So we'll start with one. Yards per carry. I took the team with the lowest in all of these stats, which ironically enough was Georgia. Out of the 3 teams that were in the college football playoff from the SEC last year, Georgia, Tennessee, Texas. Georgia was last in all of these. Just goes to show you that they had a down year last year and still won the Southeastern Conference.
Yep, tough struggles.
Georgia. But, all right, 3.7 yards per carry. If South Carolina has that in the running game, does that tell Preston Thorne that they're going to the college football playoffs?
No. That does not. That does not tell me. I feel like that is pretty, going back to our word of serviceable, that's not anything that I don't feel is something that jumps off the page for me, so I would say no.
Now, the next one, having at least 2 more plays per game than the opponent. Now, Tennessee and Texas had a lot more. We're talking double figures more plays on average per game than their opponent. Georgia just had 2 more plays than their opponent on a per game basis.
No, I still don't think that's not something I do unless we figure out what the identity of the team is. Is this going to be a team that wants to control the ball on offense? Are they going to be an explosive play team? We've seen the value of that. So, no, I don't value that. Still don't value that.
Now, in terms of turnover margin, Georgia was actually -1 last year, so I'll break it up. -1, or what Tennessee and Texas were at least +5.
I guess what I'm trying to figure out is how did Georgia pull that off last year?
That was kind of the conclusion I got to last year. I was like, and all of these, they are just like lower than everybody else. And they still managed to not only make the college football playoff, they're one of the 3 teams that, or like the only of these 3 teams that got the bye because they won the conference. Wild.
Again, going back to our word, for the CFP teams, Georgia was exceptionally mid.
Yeah.
Right?
Especially by their standards. Arguably, I mean, we are now almost half of the decade in terms of football seasons. Out of the 4 teams, or I guess 5, you count 2020, teams in the decade, this might have been Georgia's most average team. They still won the SEC.
It's a good spot to be in.
Yeah. That's a spot of luxury.
No, I'd like to see that turnover margin be a lot wider.
Now, if I told you it was +5.
Let's bump it up. Because we're talking about what we need. This is the number we get in, and we guarantee. I guarantee. That's. I feel like that's a time marker in space. Jen, you got that right?
Oh my gosh, yeah, it was some kind of seasoning, Cajun seasoning, right?
Cajun seasoning. I guarantee. Yeah, I feel like the only way that I could guarantee is you're going to need to bump that up.
Okay, and now here's another interesting one. If not having 1 1,000-yard rusher on the roster, having 2.
Mark it. Let's go.
Having 2 with at least 600. Because Texas and Tennessee both had rushers over 1,000 yards. Georgia didn't have 1 rusher over 1,000, but they had 2 over 600.
I may have committed the Jeopardy foul of hitting my buzzer before I heard the whole question, and now I have to answer. And I had my answer, but I didn't know the whole question. I'm still gonna roll with it, but I thought you were going down the line of 2,000-yard rushers because I was gonna say maybe they had 1,000-yard rushers and Lenoris. That's where I was going.
Oh well, okay. So that's good. That still paints the picture here as to what is statistically necessary.
But 600 and 600 still mark me down.
Okay, as a yes. Okay. See, because that is the interesting thing about Georgia. They still on a per carry basis average. But they did have 2 players that were reliable enough to get you 600-plus yards in a game. Now, Texas had a 1,000-yard rusher and a 700-yard rusher.
Now, I guess out of that, when I'm talking about those 600, I personally am including Lenoris.
Yeah, and that certainly counts. If Lenoris goes,
can that count?
Well, especially considering college football will count sack yardage against your rushing yardage total. So if his net rushing yards is over 600, I think you're in pretty good shape. That means what his NFL rushing average would be closer to, would you say, 700? I don't think you lose 100+ yards in sacks in a year.
Well, I wasn't thinking that, but now that you've said that, that probably means that there's a lot fewer sacks, and the sacks that he is taking are not for as detrimental, as not as many minus as much yards going backwards, which Clark Brooks told us we were excellent at, so we don't want to go backwards as much.
A trend that we do not want to see continued in 2025.
So give me, I'll put it on that. Guarantee.
All right. 5.1 yards per play surrendered. Georgia last year was 5.1. South Carolina, for reference, was 4.8 yards per play surrendered. Can they get away with making the college football playoff at 5.1?
So let me clarify. That means that for this metric, South Carolina's defense was better than Georgia's last year.
Correct. Very off year with Georgia defensively. They were not dominant. They were good. They were not dominant.
I'll take that. I'll take the 5.1 because I don't think, as we're going into this season, the success of the season does not lie right now in the defense being dominant. It lies in the offense being able to be explosive and being able to make plays. So give me that 5.1.
Just for context, too, for Georgia offensively, they were picking up 6 yards per play on offense. So almost an entire yard more on a per-play basis from what they were gaining versus what they were giving up. I think that probably adds some additional context, too, where usually Georgia's under 4. Like their best teams have been slightly under 4.
Smothering.
Yes.
Defenses.
I mean, smothering is the best way to put it. Not letting any oxygen for the other team.
Choke you to sleep type defense. It's over.
Yes.
Right? It's over.
At least it was last year. And I think for Georgia it might be a little similar this year just because of how many first and second year players they have. I think they'll still be good, but they're not going to be 2021 good or 2022 good, right? Lastly, 6 yards per play on offense. Georgia was the lowest of the SEC playoff teams. Shocker. And that was right at 6. Last year, South Carolina was at 5.9. So they were on the cusp of getting to that 6 yards per play.
Bump it.
So if they get to 6, you like their chances a whole lot more. I think I do too. I think that's a good benchmark.
I guess why I'm framing it is going into the season is that we're leaning on the offense, especially early in the year.
Yes.
And with that being said, they're going to need to make some plays. They're going to need to make some explosives, and they're going to need to have make some opportunities for the defense to come along as the year goes.
And I think what should make you excited last year, they were at 5.9 yards per play, despite still having more negative plays than anybody else. So average on a per play basis, where you're still moving backwards, and we all know what negatives do to an average. Means if you eliminate a lot of those negative plays, last year's offense would have been in a really special category. So that could have changed a whole lot. But coming up next, does South Carolina have the best guarantees of anyone in the SEC? We'll answer that question on the other side. This is the early game. This Friday, just a few days away, there's one spot left. The Game Summer Golf Classic, sponsored by Kreger Showrooms, formerly the Nest in the Vista. That is this Friday, August 22nd at Charwood Golf Club. Reminder, tee time, 9 a.m. Registration will start at 7:30 a.m. It is $400 a team. And call 803-755-2000 and press number 2 to sign up. There will be breakfast, a mimosa bar from Saki's Wine and Spirits, Firehouse Subs for lunch. We have prizes, and of course, the golf gun is back. As ominous as that may sound, but
we need to get Terry on here. I need to know what this is. Because proceeds benefit.
The proceeds benefit Camp Discovery.
Yeah.
So you get to play with that thing for a cause.
I know. I'm loving that, but now I need to know what it is.
Which I guess we're going to find out on Friday, because I told Terry I'm going to fire it off. I'm going to.
What a wild man you are.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. That's Big J journalism. We've been talking about this. Somebody's got to find something out. It's not Pablo Torre finds out. It's Elijah Campbell finds out the power of this golf gun.
I love it.
What it actually entails. So stay tuned. See if I break anything or anybody. I hope I don't, but...
Preston's like, I'll be standing behind you.
You've all been warned.
Yeah. I just want to make sure. Let me know when this is happening.
Uh-huh.
You have all been warned. It's not a guarantee that I hurt somebody, though. And we've been talking about guarantees here in this first hour. And it made me wonder, because when I was thinking about what South Carolina's guarantees are, quarterback up there. We're getting close to Shane Beamer, getting you into 7-8 win territory on a yearly basis as a floor. We still need a couple more years of that, I think, before we can actually say it, because 2023 was just 2 years ago. But with Lenore Sellers at quarterback, Dylan Stewart as the guy who is now paid to terrorize the opposing team's quarterback, preseason AP All-American, do you have maybe the best set of guarantees of anybody in college football?
Yeah, well, if you're looking at NFL football, those are the dudes that are the marquee players on both sides of the ball. You want to have them. You want to have a star quarterback, and you want to have a star dude that can get to the quarterback. And also, sneakily, in which we think we have a good value here, we have a dude that protects the quarterback also, a freshman All-American that protects the quarterback. So if you're looking at the tentpole positions of a team, you have a quarterback, a dude that gets to the quarterback, and a dude that protects the quarterback. That's a very
good
solid
starting spot.
That's a solid trifecta right there, because that's what you base a team on. A far cry from Auburn, who Hugh Freeze, when asked, could all three of his quarterbacks see action against Baylor, he said, yeah.
Not a good sign. Not a good sign. If you're an Auburn fan, that's not a good sign.
What's the old phrase? If you have two quarterbacks, you have none. Well, what about three?
If you have three quarterbacks, you have -1. That's how I assume the sliding scale goes.
So would you rather be in a position where you have a coach who says, yeah, I don't know, man, any of these dudes could play, or would you rather be in our position where we know the dude that is playing? I think that's pretty clear.
Absolutely. That's one of my favorite sayings in sports, because I never know if I agree with it or not. Like, if you have two quarterbacks, you don't have one. If you have two really good ones, that means you have two really good weapons. Are you trained to know how to use them?
Well,
Lance Leipold at Kansas used two quarterbacks, and it worked pretty well.
Fortunately, Hugh Freeze has answered that question also, because remember, they have three different play callers.
Oh, God. What do you call it if you have three different play callers? Talk about just a discombobulated mess.
So you got three quarterbacks and three play callers. Who knows? This could be a lot of fun.
Oh, see, what's going to be really fun? Because at 8 o'clock, we're going to be talking about which teams are mid in college football. We're going to our Gen Z word of the day, mid. Who is mid in the SEC? And I was like, I think I have to put Auburn there, but I don't want to put teams that are bad. Like, I think Kentucky will be bad. I think Mississippi State, while better than last year, will still be bad. I was like, do I put Auburn in there, or do I think Auburn's going to be bad? They have too much talent to be bad, but they're incompetent enough to be mid.
Yeah, the incompetence is what's going to get them there for sure. So, yeah, I would imagine if we start perusing the Auburn message boards on theplains.com or wherever that is, we'll find some very interesting information. But for your guarantees about what we have, yeah, a quarterback, a pass rusher, a blindside protector. That's a very good set of variables to have going into a season.
And using like how South Carolina and Auburn are perceived, Auburn's guarantees are like other skill positions, like receiver and a couple of players on the defensive line. But it's always the scariest thing when a team says, oh, we have a really good receiving room. Like Cam Coleman, I think is an NFL caliber receiver. Eric Singleton, who they got from Georgia Tech in the transfer portal, NFL caliber receiver. Guy had over 700 plus yards last year receiving in an offense that wasn't throwing the ball a ton. But the scariest thing is if you don't like the guy throwing them the football, they're probably not going to get the football a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at just a set of guarantees, some people might look at what Auburn's got and say, oh, you maybe have equally as good top-end talent at just different positions, but because South Carolina's guarantees come at more pivotal positions, I think everybody in the country is picking South Carolina to finish ahead of Auburn in the SEC.
Well, that's also why you have so much optimism going with the wide receiver room, because you have a dude that can get them the ball. At least we feel we have a dude that can get them the ball.
Certainly. That's what sources tell us. They have a dude who can get them the ball. We have another scrimmage in the books over the weekend. But what are the sources saying about the scrimmage? We start off the second hour with that, have our early game morning meeting, and so much more coming up next in hour number 2.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet studio. Herndon Chevrolet is your hometown dealer. Stop by today or shop online 24/7 at HerndonChevy.com.
Preston here for our friends at Integrated Media. We've been trying to tell you, but now look, 292 hours, 14 minutes, and 40 seconds until the season starts. Have you called yet? There's still time, but you need to start getting on it because you want to have your whole setup ready so that you can watch all of the football that is available. You can have Samsung Terrace TVs that are waterproof, Sonos outdoor speakers for TV and music, Wi-Fi that works indoors and outdoors so you can have all your devices set up. Because unlike quarterbacks, you want to have more screens. You want to have a laptop. You want to have a television. You want to have an iPad. You want to have a phone. And you want all that to be playing at the same time with no lag with your Wi-Fi that can be set up by the good folks at Integrated Media. So call them, Nathan and Michael, at 803-948-8327. That's 803-948-8327. Or you can reach them online at integratedmediainc.com, online at integratedmediainc.com.
I-20 eastbound at Broad River Road, still a report of an accident there. Also 12th Street extension near Old Wire Road. We have an accident reported. Could see a pop-up shower some point today, maybe a little later this morning, early this afternoon. 88 is the high we're expecting. Then we'll hit about 90 tomorrow with some clouds, 91 on Thursday under mostly sunny skies before we get back into the mid-80s for the foreseeable future. Right now, 75 on 107.5 The Game.
Hour number 2 of the early game starts right now. I'm Elijah Campbell. He's Preston Thorne. She's Jen Jensen. We are excited to be with you to tell you what sources are telling us, telling the Columbia media market about this team after a couple of scrimmages, because we're only 292 hours and less than 10 minutes away from kickoff. But who's counting? We're getting there. We're already 2 scrimmages in. I would say it's crunch time when it comes to practices. It is almost time for a depth chart to be out. I don't know how close we are to getting it.
Oh, the depth charts, it's not out. It's done, though.
It's done. It's in that building.
It's in the building.
It's in the building.
Depth charts have been made. As I always say, after the second scrimmage, people are figuring out their futures. How much you're going to be playing this year? Are you going to be traveling? Will you be on scout team? What's going on with you? Because now we have to start getting into game planning. They've probably been sprinkling a little bit of Virginia Tech here and there. But after the second scrimmage, people are figuring out what their roles on the team will be, at least initially. Going into week 1, you'll know where you are.
Yeah, and today, too, in terms of sources, we'll be speaking to a pretty big source. I would say a source close to the program, because Shane Beamer's talking today.
Okay.
I'd say that's a close.
That's a pretty good one.
I would say it counts as close to the program, right?
And he'll speak today, and then we have Carolina calls. It's that time of year.
Oh, my God. Oh,
Carolina
that's this
calls
week.
time.
I forgot about that.
Yep, 7 o'clock on Thursday.
Really quickly, shout out to Shane for still doing Carolina calls, because you, Bill Belichick, have pawned it off on your GM. Michael Lombardi will be doing the Tar Heel talk or whatever they're going to call it.
I did not hear that.
Yes. So,
Apparently somebody's not letting him do it.
It's very possible.
Right, yeah.
She has him on a macrobiotic diet or something, so like he can't do.
His puppet master
Yeah.
will not let him do
Very
a call
possible.
and
Yeah.
show.
Interesting.
So shout out to you, Shane.
That's the best part. That's one of the funniest parts of doing
Absolutely.
college football, being a college football coach, is that you are accessible. Like, that is fun. You are accessible. You get to talk to fans.
Yep.
And that was one of the funniest things about him going to North Carolina and coaching college was I was like, oh, wow, I am so excited to hear what Bill Belichick's going to say at a call-in show whenever somebody questions the decision he makes when he coaches against Richmond 2 weeks into the season.
Hey, Bill, why didn't you throw to the tight end some more?
Yeah, Bill, you know the tight end's open. Because there's always the tight end's open guy, which I love. I appreciate that guy because I agree. The tight end is always open. I am tight
him.
end's always open. Got to utilize them. But I want somebody with a thick Southern accent to ask Bill Belichick why he doesn't do it more often. And Bill Belichick has to answer.
No, she actually, what's her face, will be sitting there in the corner. He's not answering that. And then she'll
Yeah, we're not gonna talk
scrolling
about
on her
that.
phone. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's not happening. So shout out to Shane. Appreciate you.
Yes, absolutely. So that's going to be Thursday, I believe. Yeah, Thursday for Carolina calls. Very excited about that. It's one of the best parts about college football. So we'll hear from Shane today. Pretty good source, close to the program. But Mike Yuva, my guy, very well-sourced individual. What source is telling him? This is a text he got on Saturday during the scrimmage.
Ooh, a text during scrimmage.
Yes, a text
I like
where
it.
it says, Dylan Stewart is going to be a problem. He's playing even faster than he was a year ago.
Okay, that's a mid source.
Okay.
It's not a revelation.
Because we know he's good.
Yeah, yeah.
How much better can he be, though?
He can be a lot better. Again, he can get a lot better in the run game. He can get better in his willingness to play the run, the technique that he's learning. He was just pretty much raw skill and athletic ability last year. He hadn't even learned to really become a pass rusher and put all his moves together. So there are ways that he can see that, but I would have assumed that. All right, what else we got? Give me some. I want to hear some juicy bits. Somebody score up the depth chart. We never hear anybody falling down the depth chart, but obviously if somebody's going up, somebody's coming down. Anybody impress? Anybody flash? That's another favorite.
I think we have a possible trio on the interior defensive line in terms of standing out.
Okay.
Nick Barrett, Gabriel Brown-Lodindi, Bonkel Goodwine.
Okay.
Which I think we could have assumed would be the leaders in the pack there. But when you hear that that's kind of how it's starting to shape up, I think if those match your priors, that's got to be a good thing. If you're thinking, okay, well, these guys are the most experienced, they should be the ones who take a hold of the reins for those starting spots at the beginning of the year, and you hear that they are doing well, I think that makes you feel a little better, especially for a position group that you're needing to hit really well and be really good in stopping the run.
Yeah, so from what we understood going into the season, that's going to be a 3-for-2 situation. There's 3 dudes that are going to be playing 2 positions, and what we need to figure out is how the reps are going to be split up amongst them. Who's going to be the starters, because it is important to get your name called. I don't care what your coaches say about how we're all a team and we're all supposed to be together. I want to hear my name called in the first 11, not the first 13, because they start getting tricky with that, too. They start calling
the first 13.
Yeah, they start calling like 12. And no. I want to hear my name called in the first 11, so that is important. But it depends on how many snaps will be distributed for that group. So what we're looking to see is who's gained snaps, who's maybe sort of gained ground. But if you have 3 guys that can play similar to the way that we did last year, where we really had 4 until DeAndre got hurt, that's always better for, especially for the big guys inside.
Yeah, and that is maybe in terms of our ranking position groups, I think Gamecock fans had the biggest questions about. Offensive and defensive line, I think probably interchangeable at 1 and 2. But if you have guys that are clearly ahead of everybody else, I think that makes you feel good. But then also there's a flip side of that coin too. It's like, well, how much depth is there back there too? But I know based off how Shane's talked, he feels good about the depth. I think it's now down to figuring out who's getting the lion's share of those snaps.
Good word, yeah. Who's going to get the snaps and who's going to get the most and who's going to get them when they count.
The most important. Who's getting the goal line snaps? Like that's why I wish in terms of specifics, when Shane talked about that good goal line stand they had in the first scrimmage, who was on? Who was there? Who flexed a little bit on a goal line stand in a scrimmage? It's one thing I would have loved to know. Sources now. Shout out to this texter on the Firehouse Subs text line. I have it on good authority. I love that one. I have it on good authority.
You got my attention. What's up?
Wide receivers being a strength.
See, that's textbook right there. Have it on good authority, then you name the whole group.
Name a whole group.
Everybody
wins. Everybody wins.
Yeah, we've seen some clips of specifically the freshmen making some strides as far as making plays and being athletic and looking as if they are not actually freshmen, looking as if they can come and compete. So I do like that concept.
Donovan Murph making one-handed catches in practice. I'll give you a source. Me, not surprised. Sources say, not surprising. And
because you were very familiar with it from his high school days.
The 1 year that I worked for the Lexington County Chronicle as the sports editor, I definitely covered a lot of Irmo games that year when he was a sophomore. Now, he reclassified, like he should be a high school senior. But as a sophomore, made some just absurd catches. That was the one guy that I remember when I went and covered their practice because I had to do this big, long, season preview. We did a magazine basically for a season preview, and I had to wrote that whole bad boy myself. Grueling task, but one of my favorite things to do was go to the practices and ask a few different coaches, who's the one guy that I need to feature? Like, I need to really feature in this thing. And, of course, like at Irmo, quarterback A.J. Brand, pretty good. A really good quarterback. He's at Virginia Tech now. But they said, there's a sophomore on this team. He's the real deal. Like, number 6. Watch for him in practice, number 6. Donovan Murphy. And then throughout the year, I feel like he just one-upped himself every single game and all the cool catches he made. I'll have to tweet out the picture because I used to have to photograph him. Now, I'm not a professional photographer by any means. I did it because I had to. That was part of the job. But I did capture a really cool catch where he is basically being interfered with in the end zone. He jumps in the air against River Bluff, is interfered with, being taken to the ground, catches the ball, like low around his hip, like a one-hand catch as he falls to the ground. It was one of those plays where, like, I need to see a video of that. I have pictures of it to prove it happened. I need to see more video of that. And then I found more footage because that was the game on TV that week and on Watch Fox. And I was like, that is one of the most athletic plays I have seen a high school wide receiver make. I just jaw-dropping stuff on a week-to-week basis from him. So to see him have a one-handed catch in a small practice session, not the least bit surprised.
You will not be surprised if one of the freshmen, maybe even him specifically, gets significant snaps here in 2 weeks.
Oh, you want to hear a take? Multiple freshmen get big snaps in the first couple weeks, and it's not a bad thing.
I like the second part.
You hear multiple freshmen taking snaps, like, oh, wow, there must not be a ton of depth. I think it's because some of them are that good.
Yeah, and that goes to Mike Furry and his increasement in the level of talent that he's brought in and his ability to develop quickly. Those guys. So that would be something. So if you have that on high authority, we'll be looking to see that.
Well, we will absolutely be looking to see that. And here's the thing, too. Donovan Murphy being one of them, I wouldn't be surprised if someone like Lex Cyrus also, in terms of, like, guys when I watch, like, their tape, where I'm like,
it's a great name, by the way.
Lex Cyrus does kind of sound like he is
it's awesome, man.
a super villain.
Yes.
Right? A super villain of some sorts, or he owns, like, some type of company that is aspiring to take over the world.
I like that name.
But when you watch some of his highlight tape, and I get it, they're highlights. Highlights are made for a reason, to show the best of what someone does. But in his corner or his neck of the woods in Pennsylvania, at all those games that you'd watch on that highlight tape, I was like, this guy passes the alien test. Where I don't need the little circle on Huddle where they highlight which player is which. I didn't need that. Didn't need it because he was clearly head and shoulders faster, bigger than everybody on the football field, to where I was like, he could be ready.
Yeah.
Like he could be ready day one if he gets here. So I'm really excited about him. And then, of course, things when I've been hearing, the sources say, Brian Rowe.
So this is all in the receiver room.
The receiving room is, I mean, they probably feel about as good as that room with freshmen than probably any freshman group since I've been here, which has been the last 2.5 football seasons.
That's a great spot to be in. I'll tell you what, we have not heard from any sources or authorities or anybody within the program. We haven't heard about significant injuries.
Which is great. Sometimes it's the things that you don't hear that is more important than the things that you do hear.
Right. It hasn't leaked out. It hasn't been rumors. It hasn't been innuendos. It hasn't been conversations, which, by the way, we can't take that for granted because we have been starting to hear that at different programs around the country. I believe Texas Tech had their running back might have got injured over the weekend. There was some conversation about Jam Miller.
Yeah, I saw one tweet, which it wasn't from like a beat writer's, like a fan account, so that there could be some truth to it.
There's something there. We still haven't heard. We still don't know what's going on with DJ Lagway.
Oh, the DJ Lagway thing has been a lingering issue since the spring with different injuries.
Garrett Nussmeier.
Yeah.
What's up with that? So, as far as we know, as far as we've heard, sources have said or haven't said, the injury situation seems to be in a good spot right now for the squad.
Which is like the best news you can possibly get. Billy on the Firehouse Subs text line. As soon as I mention Brian Rowe, the text pops up. He goes, Brian Rowe, mark it now. He will be an absolute weapon.
Love it.
I love that confidence. Hugh just texts, Faison, question mark. All right, we're going to give our Rasul Faison update if we have anything new. In 3, 2, 1. No. We don't have it. I'm sorry.
You answered your question with a question. Question mark? Oh.
We have nothing. I'm sorry, Hugh. I wish I could give you more. I really do. Your guess is as good as mine. You could flip a coin, and that coin can be just as accurate as anything I can tell you right now. Now, I do know that there is a holdup with other schools, from what I've heard. That is a holdup with other schools and maybe some paperwork. But at the same time, these schools have had.
I guess what we don't know about the
8
Faison
months.
situation, yeah, exactly. What we don't know about the Faison situation is if they have yet to deliver the news that has already been done, or if they're still deliberating on the situation and they're in process. And I'm not privy to that information. I don't know if anybody is. So this could be a situation where it's already done. They just haven't delivered the news for whatever reason. Or they could be still be going through the process of figuring out, which, again, why you said, why are we still here after at least 6 months of conversation? But as far as we know, updates, there haven't been any.
One more text on the Firehouse Subs text line. If he stays healthy, Shed Surratt will finish the season as one of the starters at guard. So we'll bookmark that because I know they like Shed Surratt a lot too. There's a whole lot to like in terms of freshmen that we think can come in here and make an impact. Coming up next, it's time to get you briefed on the day. It's the early game morning meeting. That's next.
12th Street extension near Old Wire Road, an accident there. Faro at 277. 3 more to let you know about. I-20 eastbound at Broad River Road. I-26 eastbound around exit 119. Split. Okay, well, we'll try that, but I'm going to just give you the regular name of the road. Platte Springs Road, eastbound. Heading towards the airport. It's after Ramblin' Road. There is an accident there, but before you approach that, you're going to want to go ahead and get left because the accident is in the right lane. So an accident there on Platte Springs Road. And yep, the forecast a little bit cooler today. Maybe just a pop-up shower or a thunderstorm possible. 88 for our high. Cloudy and 90 tomorrow. 75 currently and 107.5 the game.
It's time to get you caught up. The briefing for everybody this morning here in the 7 o'clock hour, as we will do every day. It's time for the early game morning meeting.
Good morning. Repeat after me. Today will be an awesome day.
Yes, it will.
Let's go. Good morning, great today. Today will be an awesome day. Good morning, great today. Today will be an awesome day.
That's a guarantee. It's a guarantee. That's part of the thing of the show today. It's going to be an awesome day.
If you say it, it's going to happen. You got to say it.
Attraction?
You got to say it. It's going to be an awesome day. It's going to be an awesome day. Maybe some mornings you might have to say it multiple times.
And say it a little louder.
Yes. You might have to scream it.
You have
Whatever.
to convince everybody else too, not
Put it
just
into
you.
the universe.
Everybody in the car with you. It's going to be an awesome day today. You're going to make it every day. It's day. Today is the day.
I'm not gonna open the car door and let my child jump out before I'm all the way finished or all the way stopped.
I will not unlock the door to this van until you repeat after me. It's going to be a great day.
Today is an awesome day. What we got today?
It is. So we have football news.
Okay.
Joe Flacco named officially the Cleveland Browns starter. Now, this is the one quarterback battle in the NFL where I think maybe had the most unpredictability because of 4 guys that they made it seem like had legitimate shots to.
You have 4 quarterbacks. Do you have one?
Ooh. If we're doing a sliding scale, if it originally was if you have 2, you don't have 1, which means you have 0. And we just keep moving it back to where 3 is -1. So if you have 4 quarterbacks, you have -2.
Okay. All right.
The unofficial early game sliding scale of quarterbacks. But they now say they have 1, and Joe Flacco will be making a start to start the season. And I believe they start their season this year in Cincinnati. I need to double check that because I did see yesterday. It was a beat reporter who was responding to the official press release from Cleveland that said Joe Flacco will be the Week 1 starter, and indeed, they will be playing Cincinnati to start the year. Now, the funny thing about that this beat reporter, I thought wisely pointed out that Joe Flacco starting the season against Cincinnati also happened in 2008, which is true. In a 17-10 win, Joe Flacco made his NFL debut as a starter in 2008.
The more things change, the more they stay the same.
What is true when I was in the 8th grade is now true when I am 30 years old. That Joe Flacco is starting the season against the Cincinnati Bengals.
Joe Flacco is back.
Yo, he's so back. The funniest thing about Joe Flacco I've ever heard somebody describe is Derek Mason, former wide receiver for the Tennessee Titans and Baltimore Ravens, worked with him for a while in Nashville as his producer. And he would say that Joe Flacco could throw a football through a hurricane. His arm was that strong.
I like it.
So every time I think of Joe Flacco, I was like, the guy can throw a football through a hurricane. And maybe he still can at 40.
Let's put a pin in that. I believe we'll probably come back to that conversation because Joe Flacco, though fun, is not young.
No, he is not.
The NFL season.
He is 40 years old.
NFL season does not do kindly to 40-year-olds, so we'll see how that works for him for the rest of the season.
It does not. I was going to say, over under 5.5 weeks that he is the starter.
Ooh. That's a good number you said it at. I'll take the under.
Okay. We'll take it under before we see. And is it because of injury or performance?
Well, that's the thing. When Joe came back, I guess this is 2 years ago now when he came back
Took him to the playoffs.
Yeah, but Joe was just out there wilding out. He was throwing the ball, throwing picks. He's like, I don't care, man. I'm out of retirement. This is
He's
fun.
got nothing to lose.
And this is why I wonder if Joe really wanted this. I don't know if Joe really, really wants to be the starting. I think he just wanted to pick up a little gig. He kind of wanted to do the Teddy Bridgewater deal.
Which is a fantastic gig.
Fantastic. I come back. I'm a vet guy on the sideline. I'm helping the young dudes. I'm like, you want me to start?
I wasn't ready. I mean, I was kind of comfortable holding this clipboard over here. I've got everything. Organized.
We'll see how that goes we'll see how that goes for Joe. But if not, the Cleveland Browns, at least they know going into the season they can pull the safety valve, insert Shador, and get some attention for about a week. So whenever things are going really bad in Cleveland, they can just pull that parachute and at least get the NFL world talking about them for a week.
And of course, we have the AP preseason poll. We now have the AP preseason All-Americans. And per David Cloninger, Dylan Stewart and Jalen Kilgore are preseason All-Americans.
Yeah, this is the list. This is the list that you want to be. This is a very high honor going into the season. Maybe not as much so for Dylan Stewart because everybody expects it, but I would imagine a lot of people around the country who are looking at this list are saying, Jalen Kilgore, who's that? What's that guy? And then they're going to look and see his stats from last year that he led the SEC in interceptions and say, oh, okay, that makes sense. So
that makes sense.
Everybody knows Dylan Stewart. I think the sleeper on that pick is Jalen Kilgore.
Absolutely. Jalen's a second teamer. Dylan Stewart, first teamer on the preseason All-American team. Jalen Kilgore's the one where, for any other preseason list, I feel like has been excluded way too much for South Carolina. Just because I think he is that good at forcing turnovers. And some of the turnovers he's forced were really big plays last year. It sealed the deal against Missouri, sealed the deal against Old Dominion to help you fight off their final drive of the game. Who knows? If he doesn't pick that pass off against Old Dominion, we're talking about last season in a completely different light.
Those were the announcements from last night. Preseason football, Bengals, Commanders.
That's right. Bengals, Commanders. We had a preseason football game last night.
Did you watch?
I watched the second half. I had a softball playoff game. Kind of big. We didn't win. We did not.
It's over?
5-5 going into the last inning, gave up a 7 spot.
Dream is over.
The dream is over.
All right, that's cool.
But we lost the defending to the eventual champions. Gave them a run.
That always makes you feel, does that make you feel a little bit better? It's like,
I think
okay,
so.
they're the champs.
Because we took them down to the last inning.
Okay.
So, I mean, we took it down to the last inning before that 7 spot kind of ended it.
Someone say you blew it.
You could say that. You could say that. I won't. But you could, right? If we're going to play semantics, you could technically say that, and it might not be factually incorrect. But last night, if you want to get a good hint as to how bad the Bengals defense is, Jaden Daniels only played 1 series, and the Commanders scored a touchdown. How many passes would you guys guess Jaden Daniels had to throw on that drive for them to score that touchdown?
I honestly don't know the answer to this question.
0.
Ooh.
As many passes as the 3 of us threw last night in an NFL preseason game, because Jaden Daniels did have a 14-yard rushing touchdown where he kind of bounced off some tacklers. It wasn't the greatest tackling display for Cincinnati, and that's kind of been, they've been playing their ones a lot more. Now, Trey Hendrickson's still not playing because of his hold-in.
He was there, though.
But he was there. He was there. But in 2 preseason games against the Eagles, where they played the Eagles' entire backups, Tanner McKee at quarterback, Will Shipley at running back, the Eagles marched up and down the field on Cincinnati. And Washington last night did the exact same thing, but with Jaden Daniels.
2 big takeaways. Cincinnati's defense, still not good. Joe Burrow running for his life.
Joe Burrow ran for his life a lot. He did complete 9 passes for 62 yards and a touchdown. The Bengals did win, but there are a lot of question marks on that defense. And fun fact, Josh Johnson, U-Haul Hall of Famer.
Oh, he's the standard.
He is, I mean, the U-Haul GOAT, right? U-Haul Hall of Famer, 6 of 9 last night, 56 yards and 1 interception. Josh Johnson, still playing, still getting it done. That was the early game morning meeting, and coming up next, South Carolina in another power ranking meets another familiar foe. We'll tell you who that is next. Now, it certainly feels Joe Flacco and Josh Johnson have been throwing passes for a multitude of NFL teams for 30 years, but they haven't quite been doing it for 30 years. But one thing, or one, I guess, company that has been performing at a high level for nearly 30 years is Midstate Roofing, because for that amount of time, they have been the proven leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry, and they've been doing this at a high level. Their proven history is actually your assurance that their professionals over at Midstate Roofing provide that proper advice, service, and results to the needs of your facility. Give them a call today, 803-356-1919. Your roof is something that cannot wait, and Midstate Roofing will help you, whether it's high-rise, hospitals, manufacturing, or industrial. They are here to keep your operation running dry into the future, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Again, that number is 803-356-1919, or you can always hit them up online at midstateroofing.com.
Platts Springs Road heading towards the airport just after Ramblin' Road. An accident reported there. Also, I-26 eastbound at exit 119. I-20 westbound after Clemson Road. An accident. Also, another slowdown. Farrow Road at 277. And one more to make you aware of. That's 12th Street Extension near Old Wire Road. And yeah, we're looking for maybe just a couple showers today. Pop-up thunderstorm is a possibility. 88 is going to be our high. 90 tomorrow, 91 on Thursday. We might actually see the sunshine all day on Thursday. Mark your calendars. 75 currently on 107.5 The Game.
It's funny that we've kind of created this bit that South Carolina and Illinois, in a football sense, have become star-crossed lovers or haters, however way you want to look at it. Especially going into this season, because what we thought would have been a meaningless bowl game has turned into these two teams and programs being connected pretty closely. Almost every single poll that you see or power ranking has South Carolina and Illinois one spot apart from each other, and Illinois being slightly ahead, and I think that might be because of what happened in the bowl game. Both teams return a decent amount of players. South Carolina returning some of their best, like Lenora Sellers and Dylan Stewart and Jalen Kilgore. Illinois returning all but one starter on offense and a healthy amount of starters on defense. Both predicted to be in similar spots in their leagues, two leagues that are essentially the Cold War type powers of college athletics right now, and they're in a constant arms race with each other to be able to outdo the other in terms of revenue, on-field success, everything. Well, that continues because my man Chris Vanini from The Athletic, who, to his credit, does a lot of work putting together and ranking all 136 teams in the FBS. All 136. And I thought I needed to touch grass.
Go outside, nerd. Get out. Go.
He had the time. And because I know you're all
And
wondering.
did he have the beer? I'm sorry, that's an old Miller beer thing. You got the time, we got the beer.
We've got the beer.
Yeah.
You probably needed a few Millers to be able to do this
would
entire
just
list
be
enthusiastically.
mind-numbingly. Okay, go ahead.
I'm to see. I approve the list because my beloved Middle Tennessee State Blue Raiders outside the bottom 10. They're 125, which makes them in the bottom 11, but that's not bottom 10.
Stay out of the bottom 10. You're good.
Stay out of the bottom 10. That's the goal. They're going to be really bad. But here is his top 10. Penn State at 1, Clemson 2, Texas 3, Ohio State 4, Georgia 5, Notre Dame 6, Oregon 7, Arizona State 8, Alabama 9, LSU 10. Now is where it gets fun, because at number 11, he has Illinois.
Boo.
Where he says everyone is back from a top 15 season and the defense could take a big step forward. Take a wild guess. Who is at number 12?
I mean, we just can't
Get away.
scratch an itch to get away from him.
Can't get away from him. No, absolutely. It's like that. It's like the entity in It Follows. If you've ever seen that movie, like South Carolina's just living their life and slowly out in the distance, eerily walking towards you in a slow manner that is terrifying in its own. Maybe more scary if something's running at you, but something just in the distance walking
A
slowly
beached
towards
whale.
you.
Oh, I'm sorry, the coach. of
Yeah, it's Brett
Illinois.
Bielema slowly taking very large steps
Very
towards
large.
you. Very large steps, making the T sign at you, walking slowly, taunting at you.
Again, from a bowl game that was supposed to be silly and was supposed to be all about eating how many cheeses you could eat,
Which I did a lot of. And I brought a lot home with me.
it's turned into this thing, man, where it has been determinant of the college football future this year. Rules changes, rankings, all types of things have happened because of that silly bowl game.
Yeah, who knew? And again, it's personal for me because I have a sister and a nephew who graduated from there. Good friends have graduated from there, and after my nephew sent the Cheez-It Bowl hats that had the Illini logo, I mean, I'm serious, man. I'm out for blood. And Jay and I spoke about this yesterday. And he said, "What is the perception of like South Carolina and Coach Beamer up there?" And they don't like Beamer.
They don't.
And I'm like, what's not to like? He's a happy guy. He's building a beautiful culture here. He has an assistant coach in Hunter. Like he's got
Right.
like what is not to like about him? And it really frosted my cookies.
I'm going to be honest. Everything you just said, if I was a hater, there'd be extreme reasons for me to not like him.
I suppose.
He's a happy guy. Look at his son on the field all the time, building a
So happy
culture.
all the time. Look at that grin on his face.
That
Really?
would be
His
ample.
energy.
Okay.
That'd be ample enough reason for me to be like,
Okay.
I don't like that guy. He's
Yeah.
our guy. So yes, I get it. I understand where it could be, but yes, the perception of them is like they don't like us and we don't like them.
Yeah.
Who would have knew?
Crazy.
It's an organic rivalry that's kind of bubbled up.
Yeah.
And here's what
Fun.
Chris said about South Carolina. He says if Lenore Sellers is the quarterback he was at the end of 2024, South Carolina could make the playoff. Defensive holes must be filled, however. So 11-12, which
Great
that means,
sentence too.
Yeah.
Endless ends with however.
However, yes, however, great way to end any sentence. But Illinois, South Carolina, 11-12, just right outside the cusp of the top 10. But we just can't escape Illinois. But that's
We're
one
always
thing.
one behind them. And I'm assuming, is
Yeah.
it because we lost to them? Is
I
that,
think that's
mean,
the prevailing
I
reason. It's like
guarantee
we're
it.
whoever
so close.
whoever won that
otherwise.
game would have been ranked higher, I guess.
We've been talking about guarantees today. If South Carolina would have won that game, if Josh Simon is able to connect with Lenore Sellers or vice versa in the end zone on that one play, and Illinois has to march down the field for a game-winning touchdown or field goal, and they don't do it, maybe South Carolina's 11 and Illinois is 12 in this, and maybe all other polls look a little bit different. But I guarantee you the perception of both of these schools, with Illinois being slightly favored above South Carolina, does stem from that bowl game.
What's cool is that neither one of our fan bases are used to being in these types of conversations.
Yeah,
Us nor
Illinois.
them.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of similarities, and sometimes your best organic rivals come from people that are similar to you. Illinois in a similar boat. They've had a heyday, and they had in the aughts a couple of teams coached by Ron Zook that were pretty solid teams. I mean, I remember Richard Mendenhall, Aurelius Ben at wide receiver,
Okay, let's
Juice Williams at quarterback. They had some fun teams. And they also have had some eras of not much success. They've had some failed coaching tenures.
We're looking at you, Lovey.
Lovey Smith is their Will Muschamp.
We love you, Lovey, but did not work well.
That didn't go well.
No, it did not at all. And they had some teams going into that with higher expectations to win 7, 8, 9 games, right? Which is good for Illinois, but it never panned out. And now Brett Bielema comes there. They win 10 games last year. And now you're looking at two programs that are in very similar spots in their respective leagues. And I just find it so funny that every individual ranking that you see from people, they have Illinois and South Carolina in very similar boats. And now the fan bases don't like each other. You have a game on the field where the coaches didn't seem to like each other. I don't know how well buried that hatchet is. I think the handle might still be sticking out of the ground a little bit.
Christmas is not going to be fun in my house.
Nope, it will not.
Back home.
The hatchet is not buried in Jen Jensen's family.
Nope.
Sometimes just the best rivals that you can get are the ones that are created naturally.
Yeah, this is something where in 20 years somebody might look back and be like, well, why do South Carolina and Illinois hate each other? And it's like, let me tell
It's
you.
I can't even say his name. It's Brett's fault.
It's all Brett's
Bielema.
Bielema.
See,
Bielema.
he doesn't. He's not even worthy of me saying Bielema correctly,
That could be that. That's a fun bit we can run the rest of the year too.
right?
Which we will not say his name correctly the entire season. But that's going to be one thing too, on a week-to-week basis.
Let's check them. Let's check them out all year. We're just
Yeah.
going to keep our eye on
Going to
them.
keep tabs in Illinois all year because it seems at this point that they are destined to stay together for the entire season. I don't know if Preston finds that in Preston or he finds it to Preston, but we'll get his take on other things in the world of sports next here on the early game. Well, certainly the bowl game might have weighed heavily on the minds of guys at South Carolina, that coaching staff or the players. And it may be the fans too. Might have left a bad taste in your mouth. But if tax issues are also doing something really similar, Ecton Law Firm is here for you. John Ecton has been, for a long time now, alleviating the pain and stresses of taxes and helping people escape that pesky IRS maze. So why don't you do the same thing if that's an issue for you by taking the first step to a worry-free life, calling the Ecton Law Firm at 803-771-9800. Because at the Ecton Law Firm, they understand those challenges that you or your business can face and help escape that IRS maze like they have for so many different people. Again, that number, 803-771-9800, or you can always visit them at ectonlawfirm.com. That's ECTON lawfirm.com. You guys know that I am a sucker for a good deal, and Zero Res always brings it. And for right now, a limited time, you can get a free hallway cleaned with 3 rooms of carpet for only $129. That extra free hallway can be a really big help now that the kids are back in school, having to do a lot more in terms of just organizing the lives of everybody in your household. Let Zero Res take one thing off your plate. It's time to get your home refreshed and cleaned for the fall with Zero Res's carpet and air duct cleaning. Zero Res provides a non-toxic patented cleaning process that is safe for people, pets, and most importantly, the planet, because their patented zero water technology leaves zero residue behind, hence the name Zero Res, leaving your surfaces cleaner and longer. Call them now, 803-262-4020. That's 803-262-4020, or online at zerorescolumbia.com. All right, it's time for Impreston or Depreston, maybe our most creative collection of things to find out if this is impressing or depressing. One, Preston Thorne. Starting out with something that Preston found on Twitter yesterday. Now, it's certainly an impressive feat. However, is it more depressing when that's what is being bragged about for this football program? Because Tulane football tweeted out yesterday that the team has consumed over 10,000 meatballs during camp. Is that Impreston or Depreston? 10,000 meatballs.
That's depressing. That's depressing for a couple of different reasons. One, what are we doing here as far as the variety of meals that we're offering the athletes?
I thought about that.
I feel like at probably 5,000 is enough as far as the meatballs are concerned. And that's also depressing because if that's the thing that has broken out from camp, if sources are saying that you've eaten 10,000 meatballs.
These fellas are eating a lot of meatballs.
I don't think it's a good season. I'm trying to go through real quick. We didn't have this on here. I'm trying to go through it and see where they are ranked. 38th in the rankings that we just polled. So in Chris Panini's rankings.
In meatball consumption.
Yeah, I don't know.
Ooh, yeah. What
if
is
there's
that
80
taking into
guys
account?
there's what, 80 guys probably on the roster? Something like that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
That's
10,000 meatballs, so each guy is eating 128.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I don't know what. Maybe this turned into a thing like, hey, we're going to be the meatball guys this year. Maybe they just have really good meatballs. I don't know.
I just don't know. Yeah, they wake up one morning and say we're going to be the meatball guys.
Also, from a big man perspective here, okay, what type of meatballs we talking? We talking like sweet meatballs, like like the baby shower type deals with the grape jelly and barbecue sauce. Are we talking like Italian meatballs and like marinara sauce?
It has to be a variety if you're eating that much. Like unless it's just a team of picky eaters,
which. If we got a team that's only eating meatballs and chicken fingers, don't like them as a squad.
Yeah. I might, if I'm betting on the over-under on win total, might have to go
take the under.
Yeah.
Depreston. It's ruling. Depreston.
Impreston or Depreston? My alma mater, the Middle Tennessee State Blue Raiders, saving over $60,000 this year by having only 2 sets of uniforms, or 600. I think it was actually
600.
Yeah, I left a zero out. $600,000 they are saving by not wearing any alternative uniforms and only just doing one home and one away.
Impressive. I like it. We don't need 8 uniforms. And this is coming from a school. We wear a lot of different uniforms, a lot of different combinations. I believe we have like 5 helmets or something unlimited. I like it.
In the world of college football, where there are broke boys and not so broke boys, MTSU is a broke boy. I'm telling you, when I was there, they did not have an indoor facility. 3 high schools in Murfreesboro did have an indoor facility. 3 high schools had an indoor facility. The Division I FBS college in the same town did not. They also shared a weight room with every other program on campus.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm impressed. I like it. Let's get our priorities straight, save some money, and also we're 125th in this preseason ranking. We don't need multiple jerseys.
We got to work our way out of there.
Don't need more jerseys. You can't get multiple jerseys until at least top
100.
100, yes.
Yeah.
I like that. Top 100 for a group of
fair
5,
enough.
group of 6 school. Top 100, I think, is a very fair barometer there.
I like it.
Impreston or Depreston, the NFL launching a collab with Crocs to make an NFL Crocs collection.
I feel like I'm about to divide everybody here, but I am not a fan of Crocs. I'm not a fan of I'm not a fan of wearing the Crocs in the public.
Oh.
So
are you not a fan of the gibbets either?
So that's why I'm wondering. In this collab, there's going to be the gibbets on the Crocs. That's what's going to be.
I would think, and it looked like the paint scheme of these was, the logo colors and things. But then
I'm going to go Depreston. I'm going to go Depreston. What happened to cool collabs? I don't feel like Crocs are cool.
I think they're here right now.
I think the sentence of NFL teaming up with Crocs and gibbets is a sentence that could kill a Victorian child. Send them into a tailspin.
It's only one time in the history of humans that sentence has ever been uttered.
Has ever been uttered or ever made sense?
I have Gamecock Crocs. I have Cubs gibbets. So
Gibbets, yep.
The Cubs gibbets on the Gamecock Crocs.
I have. It's not perfectly, but I just felt like I needed to align everybody.
So
one day.
will you be having Bears Crocs?
Oh yeah. I mean,
now that we know that's a thing,
yeah, I'm
you
like
have
all
to.
here for this.
You have to at this point.
Yeah,
I say give a barometer: 7, 8 wins this year, and you can get Bears Crocs.
That'd be okay. Yeah.
See, there you go. You can feel good about it.
Yeah, exactly. Wear them in style.
Oh man, I have never owned a pair of Crocs. I don't even know if they make them in my size. But that's 2 hours in the books. When we come back, we're going to decipher which teams in college football are what the kids call mid. That's next.
They say perfection is a journey. Well, our journey has led us to Carolina Stone Craftsman in Shape. And let me tell you, we did some a little bit of renovating in a couple of bathrooms, needed countertops for those cabinets, and they were there and they delivered. I mean, they get it. They understand that, any kind of a renovation that you do in a kitchen or a bathroom, it's a significant investment. And that's why they make it a priority to deliver the most affordable granite, marble, and quartz while still serving up the best quality countertops and service that you would expect. Their showroom, absolutely fabulous. They do outdoor hardscapes as well, and that is an incredible outdoor showroom as well. I'm telling you, if you're in the market for countertops for your kitchen or bath, reach out to them. Carolina Stone Craftsman, tell them Jen Jensen sent you. They are family owned and operated. Carolina Stone Craftsman, they're just beyond Columbia and Chapin and beyond your expectations. CarolinaStoneCraftsman.com. Still working the earlier tie up Platte Springs Road as you head towards the airport. Just after Ramblin' Road, there is an accident there. Also, I-20 westbound after Clemson Road. And Crystal Springs Drive at Edmond Highway also might encounter a slowdown due to an accident. A storm could pop up here and there. 88 for our high today. A little bit cooler, which will be, kind of refreshing. Partly cloudy and 90 tomorrow. Sunny on Thursday, 91 before we get back into a pattern of thunderstorms starting on Friday. 75 currently on 107.5 The Game.
Hour number 3 of the early game starts right now. I'm Elijah Campbell. He's Preston Thorne. She's Jen Jensen. And we're about to dive in to one of my favorite Gen Z terms, mid. Short for middle. Not good, not bad, just mid. And when I think of football, like mid through a football lens, I think of one of my favorite coaches in the history of the NFL, Jeff Fisher. Consistently mid. Now, I like to ask people all the time, Preston Thorne, how do you celebrate, or when do you celebrate Jeff Fisher Day? Because you can celebrate that on July 9th for 7 and 9, or, like most people, August 8th. And I really hate that I missed the chance to celebrate that live on air. I feel like I have failed everybody by not bringing up it was a couple Fridays ago, that it was Jeff Fisher Day, and I just totally forgot to acknowledge it.
I'm going to pull your move on you.
Ooh, I like when people do that.
Jeff Fisher, in his 22 seasons as a coach, went 7 and 9 or 8 and 8. 10 of those 22 seasons to give him a remarkably average career winnings. So 10 of the 20 seasons, he was 7 and 9 or 8 and 8.
Like, I wish there was some type of database that could tell me if there's been a coach that went 8 and 8 more. Now, here's the funny thing. So from 1996 to 98, that's 3 straight seasons, 8 and 8. 3 straight seasons.
8 and 8.
3 straight seasons.
So what we'll do right here is we're trying to give you some of the terms that maybe your kids are using, maybe you heard your younger coworkers using, or maybe you're hearing seeping in through the knowledge. So the term mid usually is a derogatory term, right? Usually it's seen for something that's probably better. People think it's better, but actually you really define it as something a little bit less than that.
Yes,
when they use it.
Usually how it's used.
That's usually how in the context that it's used. But like it's just like mid. And you'll hear a lot of kids, oh, that's mid, bro, that's mid or whatever, right? So we're right here at the middle of the road, and we're looking at some teams, and I have some coaches who I would exceptionally define as mid. One who I absolutely define as mid as far as his career is concerned. So you can go first. So.
Ooh, yes. Okay, so this is in the Jeff Fisher class here, honorary name, the Jeff Fisher class of mid. The first schools that came to mind, Nebraska. I don't think they're bad. I don't think they're exceptionally good. They can be really good. That's the thing about Nebraska is they can be really good if Dylan Raiola makes that step, but it feels like a program that's just destined to be 6-6.
Well, while we're here, let's not bury the lead. Matt Rule, exceptionally mid as a head coach. 59 and 56 for his career, and yet he still gets every single job that he wants. And every time he gets a job, everybody's like, oh, Matt Rule. When he went to the Panthers, man, they got Matt Rule.
He's a builder.
And he's at Nebraska. Oh, Matt Rule. And he's exceptionally average as a coach. Yes, he takes over programs that were bad and makes them better. Cool. He can raise your floor. But your ceiling is right there in the mid. He is mid as a definition.
Because sometimes you get this reputation for being something else because of a year. Or for Matt Rule, it was a 3-year stretch where they went, had 1 win his first year at Baylor. They improved upon that in year 2, and then by year 3, they went 11-3. How much money has that 11-3 season made Matt Rule?
Man, it got him 2 jobs.
Yeah.
It got him 2 extra jobs. It got him the job at the Panthers, which he failed miserably at. And then from there, Nebraska was like, hey, you did good several years back. Want to come try here? And Matt Rule, who is very good at self-promotion, I believe. He's an expert at talking about himself and his programs, and he's very believable. But absolutely, as the kids would say, mid.
I see your Matt Rule, and I will raise you Hugh Freeze.
Ooh.
Hugh Freeze, what got him the Auburn job was that twice in his career, he beat Alabama and Nick Saban. He beat mighty Nick Saban in Alabama. So you'd think that was, man, they must have really, now, like for his career, a pretty solid winning percentage. But what he did after some of those wins was not very impressive. Was 7-6 in his last year at Ole Miss. But if you look at, let's say, 2015, right? They beat Alabama on the road. That should have been like your year. That should have absolutely been a year where you take hold and you win the SEC West, right? Well, then they go to Florida and lose by 28. They go to Memphis and lose by 13. They have Arkansas at home and they give up 53 points and they lose. Completely gagged it down the stretch and really negated what was maybe the best win of Hugh Freeze's career. 2013, the year they beat Alabama at home. Many people would call that the Bo Wallace game. Beat number 1, or that was not the year they beat Alabama. I think it was 2014. But they, like the Bo Wallace game, because Alabama the next year, I think ended up beating them pretty good, or the previous year. They beat Alabama at home, who I believe was number 1 at the time, number 3, but still, that's a Nick Saban Alabama team. How did they finish up the year, Preston Thorne? They were 7-0 going into LSU. They lose 10-7. Then they go play Auburn. They lose 35-31. And then they go at Arkansas, an unranked rival in the SEC West, get blanked 30-0. And then, of course, in the Peach Bowl, they play TCU and got beat 42-3. So as good as some of Hugh Freeze's wins are, I would say mid in terms of how his teams actually end the season.
In the case you missed it during the 6 o'clock hour, we talked about Hugh Freeze's innovative coaching strategy that he's looking to move into this year with, where he has 3 play callers, somebody who's a first down play caller, a third down play caller, and him the primary play caller. And also yesterday he introduced the concept of he might play 3 quarterbacks. And I don't see that being successful, so I'm looking for him to continue that trend. Elijah, I'd be remiss if I did not mention one of our own. He was our own. He's not ours anymore, but he was. And he might be the poster child for mid.
Ooh.
Mid Muschamp.
Mid Muschamp. I mean, if you look at like the win-loss record, especially at a place like Florida where you have a ton of talent, you probably should win more than what you did.
56-51 for his career. He was fired at the end of his 4th years at both of his top 50 here. Kind of has the same pattern: 7-6, 7-6, 4-8. Actually, remarkably the same patterns at his 2 head coaching stops. But I think the concept of the idea of mid is that William Muschamp was known as this defensive guru, this guy that just had all of the answers on defense. And we never saw that with him as a head coach. In fact, we didn't really see that as him as a defensive coordinator in several of his stops either, whether it was at Auburn for that year. Yeah, you know what? He was a great defensive coordinator at LSU. Under the tutelage
of Nick Saban.
He was pretty good then, right?
Pretty good.
He was pretty good.
Like a lot of people that coach under Nick Saban.
He was solid then. So I think if we're going for mid, I think Muschamp is a very glaring example of somebody who reputation precedes them.
Yes.
But when you really look at the numbers, kind of mid.
And that's a perfect qualification for mid, where your reputation is better than the production that you've actually had as a head coach. And I think the common denominator between Hugh Freeze and Will Muschamp, if you give them one side of the ball to prepare, they're in better spots, right? They're in better spots because they have their specialties. But maybe being the CEO of a program isn't something that suits them the best, right? I think that's a perfect reason as to why those guys are like birds of a feather in that regard. Hugh Freeze, I think, would make it a fantastic offensive coordinator for somebody. If Hugh Freeze were to get fired from Auburn and somebody pick him up to be an OC, I would say that's a good hire. The same way if someone hired Will Muschamp to be a defensive coordinator, I'd say it's a good hire. Even better if you hire him to be a defensive analyst, where all he gets to do is just watch film, break the game down, grind the tape. Perfect for that job. I mean, the perfect job for Will Muschamp, and he would succeed mightily. And I don't think it's a coincidence that Georgia won national championships when they put him in that role, because it helps him succeed.
Coach, what are you doing? Grinding tape?
Grinding tape. He loves it. Find you somebody in life, a life partner, a spouse that loves you the way Will Muschamp loves grinding tape, and you will live a long, happy, fruitful marriage.
Okay, here's a stress test on the word mid.
Okay.
This coach has an 81-24 career record,
which is really good.
Seems to be very good. However, I would classify them as mid. Would you classify Lincoln Riley as mid?
Ooh, man. Because we have a duality of Lincoln Riley, right? What he did at Oklahoma was incredibly impressive. Taking over for the guy and Bob Stoops and making it better is impressive. He genuinely was one of the best coaches in college football when he was at Oklahoma. And it was an incredible operation. Didn't matter who the quarterback was. That quarterback was either going to win the Heisman or be a finalist for the Heisman. I think Jalen Hurts' career revival has a lot to do with his time in that 1 year at Oklahoma. I think that helped him become more of the quarterback he is today, more so than his time at Alabama. I think that's when you saw the most growth from Jalen Hurts. Now he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback and one of the best in the NFL. When he had Caleb Williams at Southern Cal, I think they let Alex Grinch ruin the operation maybe a little too much because those defenses were bad, and it kept them from fulfilling their opportunity.
Ooh, you said Alex Grinch, and my mind went to somewhere else.
Stole Christmas.
A lot of times coordinators fall into this category, and I'm gonna throw another one at you. He's gotten a lot of jobs. He's worked in a lot of different places. Mr. Duval.
Oh, Liam Cohen. Oh, this is interesting.
Liam Cohen, mid or nah?
See, the mid thing is so hard when you have a large mix of sample sizes. Think about Will Levis. When was Will Levis's stock the highest?
When he was with Liam Cohen.
After his junior season. Liam Cohen coached a lot of the stupid out of Will Levis.
You should be commended for that.
You should be commended for that, because Will Levis goes to the NFL and he is the most memeable player in the entire league. The comedic element of watching Will Levis play last year was off the charts, enough to make Jameis Winston blush. That's mightily impressive. Baker Mayfield's career really revived when he did what? Played in Tampa Bay. Under which offensive coordinator? Liam Cohen.
Okay.
The Rams had some of their best offenses. Yes, Sean McVay is the offensive mastermind. But what helped a lot of that? Who was the offensive coordinator? Liam Cohen. He's had successes. He's had failures. But I think he's had more successes than failures. And this is the ultimate stress test for the Liam Cohen mid theory, is what he does with Jacksonville with Trevor Lawrence. Now they have Brian Thomas, who is a budding star at wide receiver, and someone like Travis Hunter as well. Really, he's got the tools on offense to have a really good unit this year. How does he manage coaching the entire team? As an offensive coach, I don't think he's mid at all. I would say he is well above average. How is he as a head coach? That is the big question. That's what I'm intrigued by.
So the jury's out on him. But no, I don't think the jury's out. You're saying nah.
I'm saying no. As an offensive play caller and innovator, I say no. I think he's had more successes than failures.
What about when he said Duval?
Now that one put a dent in it. You got to say that with some emphasis, buddy. You got to yell that. You got hit with that Duval.
Yeah.
That's how you're supposed to do that.
It's still one of my fun.
With a little bit of conviction.
After his first loss, I know the memes are going to be flowing.
Oh, my God.
They are going to be, the internet will be ablaze with Duval. Can't wait. So those were some of the guys that I had on the mid theory. Do you have anybody else? But I do think this is an idea. Again, it's usually somebody who's perceived to be better, but when you really look at it, it's kind of
I got a perfect team for it for this year. Vanderbilt. People love Diego Pavia. They love the swagger. Eli Stowers is a dude. Mm-hmm. Junior Sherrill is probably the player on that team that nobody talks about enough as being a really good wide receiver. The offense is fun. as good as they are, and I think because they're Vanderbilt, we're going to think they're better than what they are because they're really good for Vanderbilt. That is a program that has been destined to live in the cellar of the SEC for all eternity. So a 7-win Vanderbilt team is like a 10-win team for anybody else.
That's true.
But at the end of the day, it's still 6-6, 7-5.
Can I tell you my two teams I'm putting on mid-watch?
Ooh, yes. I love a good mid-watch.
Bama and LSU.
That's spicy.
I think both of them are on mid-watch. Yes, they are very ranked. Even though this profile 9 and 10, preseason accolades, they have the things there, but there's a possibility that maybe they're not who we think they are.
Ooh, Dennis
Maybe they
Green.
are actually
they're
very
Dennis
mid.
Green. Dennis Green watch. Oh, that's spicy. I love it. I love it. And if Alabama and LSU are mid, the message boards will not be mid. It will be a lot of mayhem, if you will. And we'll scourge through them next here on Message Board Mayhem here on the early game. There are a lot of barriers to getting care in physical therapy. One of those could be the travel to go to the destination to be able to receive care, because sometimes if you're recovering from a surgery or you have a chronic illness, sometimes the travel can be the toughest part, and that can keep you from getting the care that you need to be able to recover and live a longer, healthier life. But with Vertex PT Specialists, they get that skilled physical therapy and bring it right to your door. That's right, because their outpatient home health team will bring you one-on-one clinic-level care straight into your home, serving both Lexington and Richland counties. And it doesn't matter if you're recovering from surgery, managing a chronic condition, or you just need the convenience of home-based care, Vertex PT Specialist has got you covered. If you need physical therapy and you prefer staying home, they're here for you. Give them a call, 803-973-0100. And again, that number, 803-973-0100.
And a few accidents that I want to share with you. Broad River Road at St. Andrews Road. Platte Springs Road heading towards the airport just after Ramblin' Road. Still working on that earlier slowdown. I-20 westbound at Wilson Boulevard. Also I-20 westbound at Clemson Road. Crystal Springs Drive at Edmond Highway. Do have one more accident need to make you aware of, and that's Kaufman Road near Presley Street. And yeah, we could see a pop-up shower today at some point. Definitely not a washout. Just could pop in and out. 88 is the high we're looking for. 90 tomorrow. 91 with sunshine on Thursday. But currently, we're starting off your morning at 76 with a few clouds.
Nothing brings us peak message board mayhem quite like a scandal. And Michigan has provided us plenty with scandal that people have talked about on message boards for the last couple of years because of the quote-unquote sign stealing or advanced scouting scandal, whatever way you want to call it.
Yeah, you don't have to put the quote-unquote on it.
I don't know if I like it sign stealing. People steal signs all the time. I guess.
Oh, I like advanced scouting.
Yes,
the problem was the advanced scouting.
Yes, I would say.
And that's a very clear distinction to make. It wasn't about stealing signs. This stealing signs is part of the game on the field.
It's an art.
It's when you send a member of your staff to visiting opponents to steal signs. That is the violation. It's not about stealing signs because that's part of the game. It's the extra advanced scouting. So that's a good distinction.
Before we get into this, too, if someone goes to advanced scout at a game but they don't use their phone, is that acceptable?
Well, like I said, to quote the great Brad Loyne, just tell me the rules so I can bend the hell out of them. So just let me know what I need to do, what I can't do. Just tell me what I can and can't do, and I'll get as close to the line as possible. They went over. Habitual line steppers, Jim Harbaugh is.
Habitual line stepper, especially when it comes to not cooperating and destroying evidence, things like that. That makes you look more guilty than you actually are. Do I think that gave them that much of an advantage? I don't think so. I think teams know everything on everybody anyway. Coaches talk to each other, and they give each other things on other teams that they notice.
I hope my life never takes me on a path where I have to do this, but if it does, it'd be really cool to just throw a phone in a pond.
Because you have to.
Because I have to. I hope that never happens in my life, but if it does, that would be awesome.
Now, there are a lot of different, especially in Big Ten land, a lot of vigilante justice and, I guess, suggestions of how to give justice back to Michigan. On Lions 24/7, Fight on State. This Penn State fan, this is from Message Board Geniuses.
Right.
This Penn State fan has a great plan to get back at Michigan. Quote, dress a student up as grounds crew and go in and turn the water off in the locker room. Then go in and steal stuff that is in there to screw with their staff. Find their equipment truck and break in and take things. Have one dressed up as usher that unplugs all the AV equipment on the sideline and in the coach's box right as game starts. When the ref tells PSU to unplug, they say, sure, but don't actually do it. You have to take it to the extreme against Michigan at this point. How do we grade out this theory on getting back at Michigan?
Sabotage is always a good thing. We can go for sabotage that is a part, considering that dressing up as a staffer for an opposing team was part of the operation for College Stallions.
That was a huge part of it.
We're looking at you.
It's fair play, my
looking
friend.
at you, Jim McWay. I didn't know who was on the side.
That sign stealer guy.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So maybe that's a good one.
I love my favorite thing about that entire Central Michigan thing is that college coaches know exactly who is on their sideline.
Every single person.
Nobody's just wandering off onto the sideline, right? Like you will get.
And he was not just on the sideline. He was in the box, on the line. He's in pictures, the same frame as Jim McElwain and other coordinators. Like you don't just magically get there on any sideline. High school, you don't just get in the box like that. So come on, man.
Yeah, if you're standing next to the coach will notice if he's never seen you before. get this guy. If I stood on the sideline with Coach Beamer with glasses on, and I'm just standing there like this, with my arms crossed, looking across the field, he would look at me and I'd get kicked out so fast. I would be in jail before the first quarter ended.
I think, because I think it's a case where, there's a lot of personnel, but they still know their personnel.
They know it.
Come on.
They know it, and they will vet pretty well. Here's an interesting one in terms of getting back at Michigan. This is from the message board on Bucknuts. It is an Ohio State message board. Let me preface this before I kill Preston here. That is the name of the message board. I don't know how well sometimes we think of this, but this is on Bucknuts. He says, the other 17 institutions in the Big Ten should vote the cheaters out of the conference. Let them go to the SEC or on their own.
What
Wrong
did we
form
do?
of there, too.
Who did we kill in a past life? Why do we have to have them?
That's a good one.
No.
Let's vote them out of the conference. Yes, one of your biggest revenue makers and biggest TV draws in the conference.
Will never
vote
happen.
them out.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
No, that's not going to happen. I think Preston's in tears
Still
because
recovering
of
from
the name.
That caught me off guard.
That's spectacular.
Yeah.
Oh my God! So if we are having to grade out the better option of the two, I think Penn State wins.
Yeah, sabotage for sure. You can go through and sabotage them any way possible. I do think that is a way, but I would imagine this punishment has been gaining traction on various Big Ten message boards.
Oh, it absolutely has. But if we're thinking of sabotage, we got it. I love the creativity of unplugging stuff, having people dressed as like locker room attendants or whatever. I think they can build on that. I think Penn State can create their own scandal in terms of messing with Michigan. That's a little better. But here's the thing. At the end of the day, somebody's stealing your signs. TCU had the perfect elixir to that. Just run dummies the entire time. That's the funniest part of this entire scandal is everybody's claiming that that's what beat them or that's what gave Michigan this unbeatable edge, right? TCU got tipped off to what they do well in advance of their college football playoff game. Guess how many points they scored on Michigan? 50 plus. All they did, they ran dummy signals the entire time.
And everybody's running dummy signals. That's why we had the invention of the stupid board with the Burger King and a donut.
Can we bring those back?
Yeah, that's why we had those things, because everybody was concerned because part of the game is stealing signals. Again, in game, it's all good. Everything is fair in game. It's the out of game stuff that they went over the line. I've heard several stories of coaches maybe employing ball boys to maybe listen on the other sideline because the ball boys are on the other sideline.
Yep.
And maybe not, the ball boy hears the play call, and maybe the ball boy either holds the towel on the ground if it's a run or he puts it over his shoulder if it's a pass. I'm not saying this has happened. I'm just saying these are things that can happen on the field. All of that's cool. It's the advanced scouting part that was the issue.
So you telling me Big Red was one of the biggest weapons for Florida State in their national championship year? The ball boy that had like the red hair and the really long red beard?
All I'm saying is if there's a ball boy on your sideline from the other team, he can get it too. Be aware.
That's my favorite thing about college football is the lengths in which teams will go.
Anybody can be bought.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And that was what was really funny is I had a friend who was a graduate assistant, big-time college basketball program, and they had a rule. Scouting reports, do not see that trash can at all. Do not throw anything away that has anything printed on it. Even when you leave, you keep that with you. And if you want to throw it away, you put it in a paper shredder at home.
Mm-hmm.
But they were adamant because you know what they also did? Would go in the visiting locker room after games.
Just take
see if you find a scouting report.
Peruse a little bit.
Yeah, just peruse a little bit.
Have you noticed that Sir Spur, he gets closer and closer to the end zone, or he gets closer and closer to the visitor sidelines? Maybe maybe we could be doing that and have him mic'd or something.
Everybody's suspect in a college football environment. Get them away. They're too close.
The handler of Sir Big Spur could be a mole.
Never know.
See,
could be. I'm not saying they are. They're not. But they could be.
I'm saying it's a good idea.
I'm saying it's a great idea. It's absolutely a great idea. Well, I'd love to recommend that to somebody. But some Gamecocks don't need the help of sign stealing to be successful, have had good weekends in the NFL. We'll take a look at some of their preseason performances next here in the early game. There is no better way to improve your golf game and also spend a fun afternoon simulating how you would do at some of the most famous courses in the world. Like going over to Pro Swing and using their Golf Zone simulators that you can rent by the hour. And they also have memberships available at Pro Swing. If you want to book online, you can do that at proswingcolumbia.com. But with that, you can get a free 30-minute swing evaluation where you can get a very specific blueprint of your swing, and they're able to give you a couple of pointers and drills that you can work on to improve that golf game. And outside of those lessons, too, the Golf Zone simulators tell you every bit of information you know that you want to know about how you're hitting the ball, what maybe you can improve upon as well. It's an incredible tool. Lesson packages are available for beginners to scratch golfers and from kids to adults. And they use the on-form coaching app during all swing evaluation lessons, so you can get a before and after video of your swing. If that sounds good to you, call them 803-592-3916 or book online at proswingcolumbia.com.
List of accidents sadly has increased just a little bit, so let me run them down for you. Augusta Road at Oak Drive, also Coffin Road near Presley, Forest Drive near I-77. We do have an accident, I-77 northbound at Forest Drive. I-20 westbound at Wilson Boulevard. The incident has been cleared. Good news there. So if it's a little bit slow, that will be improving. Two Notch Road at Millwood and Broad River Road at St. Andrews Road. And like we mentioned before, going to see maybe a pop-up shower this afternoon at some point. It is a possibility. Looking for a high of 88, some clouds, and 90 tomorrow. 91 with sunshine on Thursday. Looking forward to that. A few mix of clouds and sun right now. 76 on the early game.
As you're all aware by now, the Game Network has expanded. We are in Charleston, starting yesterday on WIWF 96.9 HD3. So go to 96.9 on your radio and hit the HD button and go to HD3 if you are in Charleston, Walterboro, Somerville.
Keep it going.
Georgetown? Too far out?
Right outside
too
the
far
bounds.
out?
Right outside the bounds.
So Mount Pleasant?
There you go.
Mount Pleasant, yeah, I know that one.
Berkeley.
Berkeley, the Fighting Christie Earrings.
Goose Creek.
Goose Creek.
A lot of areas, the new areas of town. Nexton, Daniel Island. A lot of spots down there. A lot of spots. And you get specific. You can start naming out roads, D Road, Remount Road, Aviation, all those types of places.
Oh, there's so many.
King Street, Meeting Street. You want to get really into Charleston.
I do have King Street. I have
get down in there. Yeah, man. Shout out to the folks in the Chucktown.
That's right, in Chucktown. So all you got to do is go 96.9, hit the HD button, go to HD3, and then bam, you have us down there as well. And then you'll be able to hear today, 1 o'clock, Shane Beamer is going to speak to the media. And then this Friday, return of the high school football scoreboard show, myself and Justin Hall actually meeting today to discuss some of the extra particulars we want to do during the season.
That's exciting.
High school football starts this week. Meaningful football being played this week.
I love that.
I've told Elijah this several occasions. It's one of my favorite pastimes is just sitting in the car and listening to scores roll in on Friday night. It's one of my favorite things to do. So they do an incredible job around the state. And I've told you this before. I'll tell you on air. It's one of my favorite things to listen to on the radio on Friday night.
It's so much fun. We have a ton of fun in here. We have a lot of people calling in. If you're at a high school football game this Friday night and you want to help us out by giving us a score update that we don't have yet, 803-404-6100.
That's super
go tell you
fun.
right now.
And I do have, visiting real quick back to Chucktown, do the people in the fancy houses on Rainbow Road, do they really like it to be called Chucktown, or is it
Charleston to them.
Yes, it can't be Chuck.
It's not the Chuck to them, for sure.
It's not the Chuck.
It's different.
What's up, Chuck?
Different pieces, different pieces, different places. But yes, it's Charleston to them.
Yes. Okay. Well, they're probably not listening anyway.
Yeah,
Charleston. Yeah, and who knows? Maybe they may or may not be at a football game that matters in terms of standings, because the winners of those games on Friday night, those will count. The preseason, they don't, but it's big for other players. Spencer Rattler, maybe in terms of former Gamecocks that are in position battles of intrigue, top of that list because he's fighting for a starting quarterback job. I think on Sunday, he did himself some favors. 18 of 24, 199 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, and he ran for a touchdown, ran for a 2-point conversion to tie the game. Now, the Saints and Jags tied, but he did engineer the final drive to end up tying that game. Do you think that's given him a leg up on Tyler Shuck in that quarterback battle?
I do. Plus, he was there already. Tyler Shuck hasn't done anything. Not saying that Spencer was the throne or he had to, defeat the king or something like that. But I think just because he was there, he'll have an opportunity. I don't know whether he'll hold the spot all year, but I do think he'll go into week 1 as a starter.
Now, Tyler Shuck's numbers, not bad. 9 of 12 for 66 yards, no touchdowns, no picks, but he had 2 sacks, and they were both cartoonishly bad.
Yeah, and again, rise up first and foremost. Everybody should know that. But second of all, I don't know what the strategy was with Tyler Shuck. It's not even about him. It's just like, if you thought this was going to be a year where it's a transition year, why wouldn't you go and try and make the rest of the team stronger?
Why waste a second-round pick?
It just feels like that was a very confusing move to me.
Yeah, it was an incredibly confusing move because second-round picks can be very impactful.
For sure. In the NFL, second-round picks, that's what the rosters are full of them, and they could have got somebody that was going to be part of the building blocks of the future, and maybe if they weren't convinced that Spencer was the guy, maybe you sit out a year and you figure out what's going to happen either through free agency or whatever. I don't get paid to do that. Anyway, rise up.
Sign a quarterback and not waste some precious draft capital because, as we know here, Gamecock fans know, second-round draft picks, valuable. TJ Sanders, 2 tackles. He was 2-tackle TJ over the weekend. Now, it was in Jen's beloved Chicago Bears. Played pretty well.
Which the Bears beat him down a little bit, didn't they?
38-0.
Yeah.
Yeah, Caleb Williams looked really good.
He looked really good. It sounds like in the offseason he's looked really good.
Yeah, he made a couple throws in that game, too, that were really that were really impressive.
Yeah.
That I thought looked really good.
Yeah.
TJ Sanders.
Offense is looking good.
Yeah, they are. And the Ben Johnson effect, I'm telling you, if anything, the offense is going to be really good.
I mean, multi-layers, they're looking good.
And sticking on the level of Gamecock defensive lineman, Zach Pickens will be there playing. He's solidified himself as a vet, kind of a dude now.
Didn't stick out in the stat sheet as much in that game, but in the first game, he was all over the place. All over the place against the Dolphins in that opener in the preseason. He looked really good. I think we'll see a lot more of him in that defensive line rotation. With TJ Sanders, too, though, 2 tackles, making himself a little bit more of a presence. I think the Bills are going to need him to kind of build on what he did last year because the way their defense is constructed and the way they've had to make a lot of changes to kind of make room for Josh Allen's mega deal, which, of course, you have to sign him to that. You do not let Josh Allen walk because you don't want to pay him. That just means you have to be smarter on other sides of the football. TJ Sanders could be a very impactful player for Buffalo if he's able to kind of solidify himself as a starter on that interior defensive line.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, especially where they set up with Ed Oliver being an undersized guy, and that's my guy. Bosa trying to reclaim his territory as being one of the premier pass rushers. There's an opportunity for TJ to have a really good season there.
And it wasn't for a ton of yardage for Rocket Sanders. He only carried the ball 5 times for 11 yards, but he got into the end zone once again in the All-Los Angeles Bowl when the Chargers took on the Rams. Not much of a long drive for the Chargers to go and play that game. But Rocket Sanders, as somebody, you want to talk about very valuable contracts, an undrafted free agent rookie running back deal, can maybe, and with considering how oftentimes running backs get hurt, I know the Chargers did sign Najee Harris, but he got injured over the offseason in a firework incident. I don't think he did not play in that game. They still have Kamani Vidal and Omarion Hampton, who they drafted from North Carolina to kind of supplement the room a little bit. It's a loaded running back room, but Rocket Sanders has proven that he can get the ball in the end zone for them, and there might be some space for him to be able to make that 53-man roster.
And here's the benefit of him being an undrafted free agent is he's cheap. And so when you get to the bottom of the roster, you're trying to look at value propositions and figuring out who the guys that's not going to be as much of a hit on the salary cap. And if he's going to be one of those contracts that they can keep for cheap, that's a benefit for him going into trying to make that roster.
And sometimes it's just right place, right time. And I think Rocket Sanders playing for Jim Harbaugh is one of the best things that could happen to him, considering how much opportunity Harbaugh likes to give running backs. He loves running the football, even at the professional level. He loves running the football. When they won the title at Michigan, 2023, J.J. McCarthy was really good. He never had to be great because they were so good at the line of scrimmage and so good with their running backs. If there is a coach that is going to keep a larger number of running backs on the roster, it would be Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah, I would assume that. That looks like that's going to be a good spot for Rocket. And even with the expansion of the practice squads in the NFL now, and they've expanded the practice squad rosters, they've expanded those rosters, he'll have a job in the NFL next year. I think you can bookmark that.
I think so, too. And I think that's a winning proposition for one Rocket Sanders. And we'll give our winners for today's show, and it may or may not include Crocs. That's next here on the early game. For nearly 30 years, It's a long time. That's my entire lifetime. Mid-State Roofing has been the proven leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry, and it doesn't matter. It's high-rise, hospitals, manufacturing to industrial. Mid-State Roofing designs and installs those bonded systems with a protective guarantee. That's been the theme of the show today, is guarantees in football. Well, if you want guarantees in roofing, Mid-State Roofing is there for you. And they want to remind you that you can protect the roof with a maintenance contract. So if the roof is the offensive line of your house, you get extra good protection, adding an extra lineman or a tight end in there. And that is basically what the maintenance contract is. So give them a call today, 803-356-1919, or you can always send them up online at midstateroofing.com. You can always speak to an on-call technician after hours if you do call, if you need it. 803-356-1919. If you have a leak, let Mid-State Roofing take a peek.
Hey, it's Jen Jensen at 4 Mill Street Flooring. Discover the unparalleled quality and selection at Mill Street Flooring, your go-to destination for the finest luxury vinyl plank flooring in the Midlands. We're the exclusive distributor of Case Luxury Flooring, offering wear levels of a big variety from 12 to 28 mils for durability and style. Whether you're a contractor, a builder, or an installer, you're going to appreciate our factory direct prices and manufacturer warranties. And the great part is when you select the flooring you want, you can take it home that day because they have it in stock. With samples available, luxury vinyl plank in a wide array of patterns and colors, you can find the perfect flooring instantly. Choose from standard and wider planks to fit any space and budget. No order is too big or too small. Visit millstreetflooring.com or call Joe at 803-424-8547 and arrange your appointment at their Lugoff or West Columbia locations. Mill Street Flooring, there's never a good reason to spend more than you have to.
Final segment of the show. Tyler Head and Jack Veltri, the extra point, coming up next. But you already know what this means. It's time to give out our winners for the show. And I alluded to it that we may or may not be mentioning Crocs. We have some feverish Croc defenders.
I knew it.
On the Firehouse Subs text line.
I knew that was a hornet's nest I didn't want to step into, but I'm here.
Yep. I mean, Trey wanted Preston to know that Crocs are cultural icons of sophistication and style. What you really want is loafers, which are Crocs in loafer form. And then during the segment, we're talking about mid. He goes, you know what's not mid? Crocs. And then he suggested you get Falcons Crocs to cure the ailment.
Ooh. Okay.
Would you go there?
You may have
Would
got
you
me.
wear
You may have got me in.
Falcons
You may have got me in on that one.
How many wins this year will it take for Preston to wear
I like what we're doing.
Falcons
That's a really good
Crocs?
I like what we're doing here.
That's
Rise,
the question.
rise up. Let's put that on. Let's just take a note.
Over 500? An over 500 season?
Nah.
Got to win the division?
We gotta win.
Okay, you got to. You
We
gotta
got-
Well, you're not that
win.
invested.
I gotta win.
Yeah,
We got-
because
we
he's
gotta
not even
win.
100% on whether this is his team long term or
Right.
if this is just a 1-year option.
We gotta
It's a one-year
win.
deal.
I gotta win to put some Crocs on. But I'm here. I'm looking on the device.
I'll let you try my Buddy the Elf ones.
Your buddy, the elf
I
Crocs.
do have Buddy the Elf Crocs.
Okay.
I need to see these.
Looking
Yes.
at the giblets here.
Yeah.
Giblets or giblets? The giblets.
Gibbets.
Yeah. Gibbets. I'm looking at them.
Like
All right.
GIF or
Listen,
GIF?
man. I'm open. I'm open to whatever. I want to give my winner to a man who, despite being astonishingly mid in his career with a career record of 59-56, has managed to sign a 7-year, $62 million contract and presently working on an 8-year, $74 million contract. That would be you, Mr. Matt Rule. Mid-Matt.
Ooh, mid-Matt.
Mr.
Mid-Matt rule.
Mid-Matthew. 59-56, but his bank account does not reflect that. So you, sir, you are a winner.
Yeah, the bank account's not mid.
You are a winner at the bank.
At
for
all.
sure. It may not be on the field, but at the bank, Matt Rule's a winner.
One of my winners for today's show, different names for Brett Bielema. Because we fumbled on his name once, but now we've just decided we're not going to refer to him by name. And we did, I think York on our YouTube stream goes Brett Behemoth.
Like it.
I like calling him Bert.
It's always a good.
Oh, that's Bert. Yeah, I like that.
Bert Bielema. That's like the evil version of Brett Bielema. Like whenever he's taunting,
Doing
and
the T-bar.
He's doing the T-bar. That's Bert. It's not Brett. That's Bert.
I want to give a winner to the Tulane nutrition staff for feeding those hungry boys. And I don't know what was the number they broke the record of, whatever record this is.
Who's keeping the record?
don't know.
So I was going to say, who's
ton.
keeping this? Yeah,
We'll just say a ton.
Yeah,
a ton.
10,000 plus meatballs served during training camp, which congratulations to them, I guess.
That's why I wrote down picky eaters as the winner for today, because if you're eating as a team over 10,000 meatballs, there is either just not a lot of variety in your food, or you don't want there to be a variety, that you as a program collectively filled with picky eaters.
Yeah, and while we're here, I'm going to go start bench cut on meatballs real quick. First one, baby shower meatballs, with jelly and barbecue sauce.
Okay.
That's the one to start
Okay.
that.
Starting.
Second, we're going to go marinara, Italian-style meatballs. It's going to be number 2. 3, Swedish meatballs. Get them out of here.
I would just swap the first two. That's what I would do.
Okay.
I'm a sucker for meatballs and marinara.
Okay.
I'm now, would I consume 10,000 of those? Probably not. Would I consume them on back-to-back days? Probably not. I am not like the Tulane football team in that regard.
Yeah, well, we have to do some more digging to figure out what exactly is happening. It was just a random post that was posted with very little context, but college football is here.
Another winner for today's show. We have not mentioned him, but this is something I talked to you about this off air, Preston Thorne. I learned this yesterday. I was just watching a video about the 1971 T.C. Williams Titans, the team featured in Remember the Titans. It's a YouTube video of what's true and what's not true from the movie. What was Hollywood fluff, what's not. Didn't realize that Sunshine Ronnie Bass was the starting quarterback for South Carolina for 2 years in the 70s.
That is correct.
That's pretty cool.
That is correct.
That is pretty cool. So Ronnie Bass, winner of today's show.
Winner.
So not mentioned until the last segment, but still a winner. Also, Joe Flacco for getting the starting job for the Cleveland Browns and will be starting against the Cincinnati Bengals in Week 1. In 2008, he also started against the Cincinnati Bengals in Week 1. So something that is very true when I was 13 years old is also true when I'm 30. Time is a flat circle.
True. Yeah. What is time? Where are we?
Does anybody know what time it is? Does anybody really care about time? That's all the time we have.
Chicago
for
fan.
today.
I love that.
Oh, I love Chicago. I mess with
Good
Peter
group.
Cetera
Good group.
heavily. That's the early game. Tyler Head, the extra point. That's next.
Pressing here for our friends at Absolute Glass, the premier glass company of the Midlands, offering auto, home, and business glass repair. If your glass is damaged, shattered, cracked, or broken, they can handle the job. Cracked windshields, no problem. They'll come out to your location and they'll replace it for you, usually for free, and they'll work directly with the insurance company to take away the headache. That's right. They'll come out to wherever you are. School, home, work, it does not matter. Absolute Glass will come out and take care of the job for you. Now, if you're at home looking to increase the value of your home, you can do that with new windows or mirrors, and Absolute Glass will take care of that for you, too. Windows, mirrors, shower enclosures. Say it all the time. If you can see